Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And today we have the honor and privilege of celebrating Godzilla's birthday. 71 years since the King of the Monsters first made his debut onto the big screen, and he's made quite an impact for sure throughout his illustrious career. And yeah, kind of mentioned how I mentioned in my previous Transformers ranking video, I had something special planned for the Big G, and this was pretty much it, just ranking all the movies and TV shows that you see right here. And very excited to be doing this. And not only that, I'm not alone because I have another brand new face joining me. Please help me welcome none other than Aiden. What up, my good man? How are you?
Hello, hello. I'm all right. Good to be here, and thanks for having me on here for such a big milestone.
Yes, indeed. God, time was going by way too quickly. It just felt like yesterday. We just reached like 70 years, and now we're at 71. It's crazy.
And 2014 doesn't feel that long ago, and I remember that's when he got his big resurgence.
Oh yeah, for sure. And we'll definitely be getting to that. But as you can see, we're back on Tier Maker once again. And here's how I have everything categorized. And pretty much for this ranking, I'm just going to be ranking all of my favorites to least favorite. And without wasting any more time, let's just get started with these two categories right here, as you see, with haven't seen and honorable mention, because I, oh, I thought the Hanna-Barbera was on here, that like 1978 cartoon, but I guess it's not here. But I would definitely put that in there only just because, well, I haven't seen it, at least like
Me
in
either.
full, so I can't really say too much about it. I definitely might watch it in the future. I don't know when, but definitely will be watching it at some point in the future. And then for the honorable mention category, I'm gonna put the Monarch Legacy of Monsters. Oh, not there, obviously. Gonna put it right over here. And the main reason why I put this here is not so much as the fact that like it's not even a bad show by any means, but I don't really necessarily consider it to be a Godzilla centered show, if that makes sense. And I'm not gonna get into spoilers, but like basically this show kind of goes back to like harkening more to like the 2014 movie where it has like a lot more serious vibes, but not only that, it tries to focus more on the Monarch organization as a whole. And it was still a pretty interesting concept. Like I said, the show's not bad by any means, but it more so focuses on the Monarch organization more so than it being centered around Godzilla himself. And I don't know if that's going to necessarily turn people away or like make them gravitate toward it, but hey, I definitely recommend it. It's a great show overall.
Absolutely.
Alrighty, so moving on to the actual list. I mean, we have the original 1954 Godzilla film, and of course, it's an S.
Absolutely. The beginning of a beautiful legacy.
Agreed. And what could I say? Without this film, we wouldn't have what we have today. We wouldn't have the minus ones. We wouldn't have any of the legendary films. We wouldn't even have Supernova and the minus one sequel without this film overall. And for a lot of good reasons. Like not only is this just a fantastic Godzilla story, but it's also a very I'd say a very unique way to incorporate history with, of course, the infamous, the nuclear bombings of like Hiroshima and Nagasaki back in 1945. And I thought it was just a unique way to help incorporate that, like him basically representing like man's mistake in a way.
Yeah, he's the living, walking embodiment of, nuclear warfare.
Exactly. Alrighty. So next up on our list, we have Godzilla Raids Again, which is the pretty much the sequel to the original film. And something that you'll notice throughout this entire franchise is that a lot of the films tend to like, I guess the best way to describe it is like it'll kind of, it tends to jump all over the place. At least with like the Showa series, because it really doesn't really go back to the whole idea of like talking about what happened with the events of this first movie until you really get to like 1984, the start of like the Heisei series, once the Showa series ends in like 75, I believe. Yeah, it was like 1975.
Yeah.
And even with that too, it's like even after the Heisei series, it kind of you have some Millennium films here and there that do it, but yeah, it tends to jump all over the place. But I believe with this particular film, um, it's all right. I appreciate it for a few different reasons because, like, obviously, this was the first time that not only Godzilla fought like another monster, it wasn't like a solo film, but his first opponent was Anguirus. But I don't know. I've tried to give this film a watch like over the years. I've tried to give it like a chance, but I don't know. Maybe it's something that I'm missing. I'm just gonna put it in C for right now. I guess just something about it just wasn't really doing it for me personally.
It didn't take Godzilla as seriously. It's still much of the Showa era. This is where Godzilla started to make his turn from, a byproduct of nuclear war and a monster to be feared to almost a role of a protector. This was the beginning of that. And frankly, I prefer him to be, the again, this kind of creation of man due to, the nuclear, haphazard problems that we've created by just flailing with anything we shouldn't be flailing with.
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely a great way to look at it too. And I know this film had some like, at least from what I remember, I know this film had some like problems with like how they filmed the fights because when you're watching the fights with like him and Anguirus, you could definitely tell that it's like sped up for sure. Like they sped up the footage. And I remember watching like reviews here and there, and I remember one talking about like they kind of appreciated it because it felt more like animalistic in a way, which I could definitely see. But I guess another reason uh why it's in C is that like once he I mean, I don't know if you've seen this film, but basically Angers doesn't make it, and then it goes back to being like a solo film. Like which I guess not a bad thing, but like it happens like very early on in the film, and it's just kind of like, okay, cool. What are we doing now for the most part?
Right.
But I don't know. Like I said, it's okay. Just wasn't really doing it for me. Best way I'll say it.
Yeah, no, I mean it was definitely, it was an important step in Godzilla's journey, but it wasn't a defining moment in the Godzilla story.
Yeah. Unlike the next film, King Kong vs. Godzilla, which whoop, I'll definitely put in. Come on, you. There we go. I'll put it in B. Now, this film has a very rich history because we didn't even know if we were even going to be getting this film at all
Yeah.
because they were jumping around with like Godzilla versus the Wolfman, Frankenstein versus King Kong until they finally decided, like, after a certain point, hey, I mean, I know King Kong's owned by like Universal and like RKO, and there was a lot of legal stuff going on at the time, but eventually they were able to make it work. And what a first impact that they definitely had for sure. And this was also the first film that was in color because the first two were black and white. This was like going back to that whole idea of a step in the right direction or like a different direction. Like it's the first time get to see stuff in color. And it worked out pretty well overall.
I agree with all of that, but at the same time, I kind of want to go back to with the fight with Angerus. You know, a lot of this seemed like it was a little fast. You know, and given how big a lot of these shots make the monsters look, with how quickly they move, you don't get that sense of scale and weight. So, I mean, some of the fights, and of course, this movie is famous for being a little bit goofy, but of course, how could it not be? So, I think despite the fact that it's got, some wonkiness to the fights, it adds a certain level of charm, which makes it all the more memorable.
Oh yeah, and I think you'll definitely hear us say this throughout a lot of the show films. They just kind of like what you were saying. They have just such a nice charm to them, and yeah, even though they don't really go back to like that whole serious aspect, at least for a while, it definitely gives people something to look forward to because like, oh, like how is this gonna be filmed or like, who's he gonna fight next? Basically. Although I will say I really liked some of the for all the stupid moments, I still appreciate it because like if humor is like done right, especially if it's like stupid humor, I appreciate it. I don't know, it just it doesn't really take too much for me to appreciate something because like I don't know, the whole him drinking and getting drunk and like sleeping, I don't know, just has some goofy facial reactions and I love it.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it was so funny to see, how resourceful Kong was in this film, rips a tree out of the ground and, sticks the tree in Godzilla's mouth to try and get him to stop trying to bite him.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah, like that final fight is just iconic because of just again the tree in the mouth. Uh, I think that was the first time Godzilla did like a kangaroo drop kick,
Oh man, that's right.
and yeah, this was also when like got when you find out Kong gets like the electricity, which again, harkening back to like traits that you would see from like Frankenstein or like even possibly the Wolfman for that matter. But like when he gets those electrical powers and like he wakes back up, it's like, oh, should going back for round two.
Yeah,
But yeah, King Kong vs. Godzilla, very memorable film for a lot of reasons, and probably would have been a little higher if it wasn't for some of these other entries on the list because next up, we have Godzilla taking on not one iconic monster, but two for that matter. And the first up being Mothra versus Godzilla. Now, I know that Mothra had a film, I think, 2 years prior. So when I first was getting into the Godzilla series, I remember that Mothra was a very unique and original kaiju. I mean, granted, it's just a giant like moth butterfly, but like the way that they portray her was kind of cool to see. And I didn't know that she had like a film prior, so this was kind of cool to see. And like he's taking on two different iconic monsters, like crossovers, if you will. And another awesome film because it starts off with like Godzilla getting like swooped up by the tsunami, one of the most unique entrances, I will say, when he's coming out of the ground for the first time after getting like swallowed by like the storm and then just waking up in the sand. It just looks like he's just waking up in the morning, just like, oh, I need a cup of coffee or something like that.
yeah, for sure.
And yeah, just one of my favorite suits and one of my favorite soundtrack. Just really awesome overall. And I also really appreciate the fact that like the movie doesn't really end right away after like Mothra, because you find out that like Mothra's on her last limbs, last legs, but she has like larva that carries on the legacy. Yeah, it kind of sucks that, you know, what wins against a giant moth, but then gets wrapped up by two little turds,
Yeah.
essentially. But a unique fun fact that I found out from this, and I just saw this through a YouTube post, and I forgot the name of the YouTube channel, but I'll post it here somewhere in the video. But I found out that the after he gets like webbed up in like the web and he's like rolling down the cliff into the water, that's actually the suit used in the previous movie. That's not like the 64 suit. That's the King Goji suit from the previous century, which I thought was kind of cool because again, like another thing too is throughout the series you'll notice that like you'll see a lot of reoccurring suits and that's mainly due to like budget, like why waste what you already have, like put it to good use essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, for better or for worse, but hey, cool little unique idea.
Yeah, no, I agree with every point. I mean, I'd probably put it, maybe a little bit higher personally, just because, it's when they really bring Mothra into the Goji verse, and of course Mothra has become a staple creature. But other than that, yeah, no, I agree with everything. It was that this was a big step towards, Godzilla's more popular image.
Yeah, exactly. And continue on with that idea of, first, this was the first of two films that came out in the year 1964. And next up, we have Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, which I'm gonna put it in, I don't know, personally for me, I slightly rank this higher than Mothra vs. Godzilla, even though, like, for the points that we mentioned, why I love that, something about this particular film kind of struck me a bit more because, again, this was the going into that whole idea of, like taking different steps, trying to keep it fresh, kind of doing new things. This was the first movie that introduced us to the concept of aliens and
Yeah.
the overall popular badass villain himself, King Ghidorah, which one of my personal favorite villains. And I think for a lot of people as well, like Ghidorah has definitely become a gold standard in terms of like popular monsters and then just Godzilla overall for
Yeah.
what they're able to do with him, essentially.
To sound like a broken record, this was another huge step forward because, like you said, they started introducing aliens. The world of Godzilla really opened up now because you're thinking, oh man, what else could be out there? And with a villain that would become as iconic as Ghidorah, it really bumped up the quality too. I loved this film and I loved the sound design for Ghidorah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely. And not just with overall quality, but like yeah, we were kind of talking about like conserving budget a little bit, but the fact that they were able to bring in like more monsters too, because like some of the previous ones, it was mainly just the two, but this one you get two extra monsters as well, giving you a grand total of four. And kind of similar to how Ghidorah was became like a huge staple along with Mothra, you'll get to see like Rodan was as well, because he appears in more than one film. A lot of monsters, as a matter of fact, get to appear in more than one film, well, depending on the character and like how popular they've become over the years. Yeah, Ghidorah 3 and Monster, such a good film overall. I really love the story. I really love that whole alien aspect. Just a iconic movie overall. And I, one of my favorite things about like the American dub is there's a line in there that, or that it's like, oh, my village, my home is gone. Like some of the way that they deliver some of the dubbing, it's really stupid and sounds awful. But again, you can't help but appreciate it because it's just it's purposely being like stupid just to like get like a laugh out of like the viewer. uh
And it adds to the show a charm.
oh, for sure, 110%. Now, as much as I love this film and these two films, I can't help but also put this not there. Not only an S, but slightly above uh Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. Because yes, next up on our list is the world famous Godzilla versus Monster Zero. I And when I say I love this movie, I absolutely adore this movie. Because for one, I think a lot of it just has to do with the whole nostalgic factor. And again, one of our favorite aspects, trying something new because they actually went somewhere other than Earth to the infamous Planet X.
Yes.
And even though Mothra couldn't make it a debut, I saw somewhere that Mothra was supposed to come back for this film too, but I guess they ran out of like budgeting or something like that. But they still were able to make it work with what they had with both Godzilla and Rodan. Oh, it's just such a unique take for like movie directions because again, like going somewhere other than Earth, which was really cool to see, and a lot of the soundtrack's really good. I love like the overall chaos and destruction, and like once they like get the mind control taken off because like the whole premise is that like aliens ask humans for Godzilla and Rodan to help them stop Ghidorah, but it's really a trick just to get them to like get them on their side and then very much attack humanity. But once they lose control, like they start fighting each other. And I remember when they did the roll down the cliff when like Rodan grabs Godzilla and just like kind of like football tackles him into Ghidorah and they go tumbling down the cliff. Talking about that whole nostalgic factor, I remember when I was just younger, I would always recreate that scene with like my brother and my father because it was just so cool. Like that film overall is just iconic. Nothing more I could say
Absolutely.
about it.
Yeah. I haven't seen most of the Showa films in a long, long time. But I that is definitely a moment that stands out. It was definitely a kind of a screw it moment from him when he just runs up and tackles him.
uh, I also love that. Speaking of tackles, I just love that Godzilla, the way that Godzilla just body slams himself into Ghidorah on space when they're fighting on the planet X, like moon rock.
Yeah.
He just kind of just like jumps forward and then bam. And
What
of
a
course,
great what a great fight that was.
oh, for sure. And of course, who could forget the dance? The iconic
Oh,
dance.
the victory dance, absolutely.
Oh my God. So out of character, but so fitting at the same time. Just him just jumping, dancing, like you could tell like he was like, yes, I earned this victory. Ha ha ha.
He was definitely celebrating the fact that he indeed is the king of the monsters.
Yes, indeed. And when you see him, like after he finishes the dance, like in the dubbed version, it immediately goes to the Planet X controller and he just says a happy moment. And it
Yeah.
was indeed a happy moment.
Yeah.
Oh man, so good. Ooh, so good. And real quick, one last thing. Speaking of stables, that dance, I remember that dance became a staple too because like you would see people do that at like conventions and stuff and like Godzilla related theme events, which was so awesome to see. Every time I would see or hear about that, I'd be like, "Oh, thumbs up, all the
Yeah,
way."
absolutely. In my opinion, this is probably the best Showa film.
Oh yeah, indeed. Like especially if you're looking for a fun ride, you won't find it better than this film, basically.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Next up, Sun. Nope. I was about to say Son of Godzilla. I was like, wait, that's not right. No. Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster or Ebra Horror of the Deep. This is another instance where, honestly, I was gonna put it here, but honestly, I don't actually mind this film too much. I wouldn't put it higher over King Kong vs. Godzilla, but this was also a very unique film because, like, for starters, this was originally supposed to be a King Kong film, but of course they, obviously threw Godzilla in for like last minute reasons due to like, obviously, of course, marketing and that money, 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 money.
Indeed, Mr. Squidward. Big lobsters make lots of money.
Because we want the money.
Arr, 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 arr.
But like I said, like the film, I personally don't mind because I thought it had a very interesting premise because of like the guy's missing his brother. He's trying to go look for him, and then he comes across this boat on like a dock that's being occupied by someone else who ends up being like a robber. But you don't know that until like they see like the big wad of cash. And then I think one of the big reasons why I don't mind this film, and because like it takes place, yeah, it's like still on Earth, but like it's on an island more so you kind of get like a break from like the city for a little bit. So it's a different environment, different landscape. Of course, the way they wake up Godzilla was very King Kong inspired with the whole, using a sword and like lightning to wake him up that way. But like when they when Godzilla fights Ebra for the first time and they have that whole volleyball scene, oh, such a unique show of charm. And it would definitely be a fitting thing for Godzilla to do, especially for like the Showa series. And Ebra's cool. I mean, just a giant lobster overall, but can't uh can't hate on Ebra too much, basically.
Yeah, I mean, with Ebra, I mean, it's like you said, it's just a giant lobster, so I would say it's one of the least memorable, like classic kaiju, but definitely shouldn't be discounted. And I might be remembering the wrong movie, but is this where they first introduced Manila?
No, this will be our next entry, which we will get to in a minute. But
Gotcha.
yeah, but Mothra gets to make another appearance again, this time in her Imago or Moth stage, which was pretty cool to see. I the only thing that I really, I guess, I didn't hate it, it just wasn't, I didn't really like it at the same time. Probably didn't make any sense, but it's when he fights the giant condor. And I think a lot of it just has to do with the editing. Because, like, you could definitely tell they were kind of having the editing is it's a bit messy, basically.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny because just like Godzilla's just kind of sleeping while like falling in love with like the native girl, which again, very King Kong heavily. He's just trying to take a nap because he's had a few movies, had a good run, and then all of a sudden just the spur comes out of nowhere and starts attacking him. It's like, what the heck? Ah, I'm trying to take a
What
nap
happened
over
to
here.
5 more minutes?
But while not one of the most memorable films, in addition to like kaiju, kind of like what Aiden said, I don't think it's a necessarily bad film, but again, I think it just has to allow like not very memorable in that sense.
Yeah.
Now, Son of Godzilla, the very first time we get to see the Pillsbury Doughboy looking goofy little bugger head. I don't know why I was going with that, but the first time Godzilla has a son, or
Oh God.
or I should say, adopts a kid unintentionally, Son of Godzilla. And I guess it's like another film that I really don't mind. I'll put it in B for now. I'll put it a little higher over than Sea Monster, which I think. while Ebra Horror of the Deep had like a interesting premise, I kind of like the premise of this movie a bit more because they're doing like you'll see like it's a group of like scientists. They're doing like a bunch of weather experiments to see if like they could get like different temperatures going, and like for the most part like it's a tropical island, so like they're trying to like to see if like they can get it to snow on there, get it colder. I thought that was kind of cool to see. The Godzilla suit is kind of like eh, because like for some of the previous entries it was mostly the same suit with some slight modifications here and there. But this was the very first time in a little bit that they went back to doing like a whole new suit because I guess they were like acquiring like budget over time. And the suit's okay. Not one of my favorites, but it's like eh.
He looks like a frog.
He definitely does.
He looks like a frog. It's my least favorite suit, but it's a decent film.
Yeah. I remember somebody saying in a review, which is his name is Virtuoso, Mr. Fresh Vinyl, and he has a YouTube channel, Fresh Vinyl Reviews. Shout out to you. Go check him out. Very good guy. I love him. And he mentions how this was one of his first Godzilla films and talks about how like the suit gets a lot of crap, but like he talks about how like he's kind of like a mutation. He's always mutating throughout the course of the film, and then like he kind of has like a more dad aesthetic to it. It
Yeah.
definitely has a dad bod to it, and I can definitely see it.
He looks like he'd sound like Hank Hill.
God damn it, Bobby, what are you doing
I'm
messing with
telling
them?
you, I tell you what, Manila, these mantises are starting to get on my last nerve.
Oh, jeez, Godzilla, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I didn't know about the mantises, Dad.
I kind of
That
like
was
how,
this film, right?
what's that?
That was this film, right? With the big old mantises.
Yes, this film.
We have got to talk about the shot where one of them smacks the rock over and pelts Manila right in the forehead. It's one of the funniest moments from all of the films. It just bonks him on the head.
I just like that reaction that
Oh,
he has because he looks like he just like, whoa, what happened?
yeah.
My favorite thing too is like I love how the mantises or they're called Kamacuruses throughout the course of the film, but you can the essentially the giant mantis. But I just love how they're just like poking all of them are just poking at this rock, and all of a sudden this egg just comes sliding down out of nowhere, and then they start like smacking the egg, they break it open, and then they see that, and they see Manila in the egg, and they're basically just start bullying him, like poking at him, like beep boop, and he's like get off of me.
The noises that he made too.
Oh yes, indeed. The what was it? The
Yeah.
yeah, and again, you can definitely tell that like Godzilla is. He didn't really want him at first, but I mean, hey, he gave him a little ride on his tail, which was fun to see. And they have a little heartwarming moment towards the end. And of course, before forgetting, who could forget about the giant monster Kumonga, the giant spider, which I love when like Kumonga gets first introduced because of like almost kind of had some horror vibes to it, I will say.
Yeah.
Coming out of the ground and like he's the way like the camera like pans over the trees and you see like Manila in the distance almost kind of feels like a slasher or like a predator is just stalking, you know?
Yeah, it felt like a shot right out of Jaws.
Oh, for sure. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I like Kumonga. I think he's kind of
Yeah.
cool for being a giant spider.
I like him more than Ebra.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I'll give you that for sure. I think a lot of it just again those horror vibes, which was kind of interesting to see, considering that the for the goofy take that they've been going with Godzilla so far, it's kind of just surprising to see the whole just like, huh, some horror aspects. Interesting, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, Son of Godzilla, slightly over Sea Monster. Not a bad film by any means. Very decent, but not very, very memorable. Destroy All Monsters. And this was the first time of many that they were originally going to conclude the entire Godzilla series. Like there was going to be no more after Destroy All Monsters. But, you know, with success and positive reviews,
And
of
money.
course, yes, obviously that wasn't stopping anytime soon. And what a film this was. But I don't know. Honestly, I'll put it in B. I'm gonna put it right here in B for the most part because again, going back to the whole idea with like similar to Ghidorah 3 and Monster and Monster Zero, bringing back aliens again, which was always awesome to see. Like, I think aliens in a Godzilla film, and that's just my opinion, I think works the best because of just like the unique, wacky ways that you can go with that in terms of direction. And of course, that final battle at the end when they bring in for all the high tech like equipment and technology that they have, and like, oh, we're so advanced, and Ghidorah's a space monster. The monsters on Earth cannot win because like again another instance of like they're living in peace, no doing no harm, no good. Then the Keloqs just coming out of nowhere. Hey, we're gonna control you. Go attack all over the world, which was actually unique too because not only were they attacking Tokyo, but they were attacking like other cities and countries. Like you had like Mothra in Moscow. You have, I think it was like Gorosaurus in France. Um, or wasn't Mothra in Moscow? Or it might have been Rodan. But basically, the whole idea behind that was like they were just attacking everywhere around the world. It wasn't just one area, which was cool to see. Very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, and they of course they reference that much later on in King of the Monsters in 2019.
Yes, indeed. Also, Final Wars too, but we'll
Yes.
definitely get to that as well. Ooh, I can't wait for those. But for the meantime, Destroy All Monsters. I think definitely the highlight is why this is a very popular film. Not necessarily just like designs, but that definitely that final beatdown. Because again, they're just like, I love how confident they were. They're like, the monsters on Earth cannot win. I'll be in touch whenever you want to surrender. And then it's just a few moments later, they're just ground pounding Ghidorah.
Yeah, he got the brakes beaten off of him by the end of this film.
Yes, he definitely did. And the way that Manila took out the middle head, huh?
Yeah. Oh, how about that? He finally did something.
Although I couldn't help but kind of like drew a smile on my face when he's like standing on top of Ghidorah's dead corpse and he's just kind of like waving his arms up in the air, kind of like cheering. I was like, oh, okay, I'll give you that.
Like father, like son. Okay, victory dance.
He's just dancing. Godzilla's just nodding his head. He's just like, yes, yes.
He's learning.
And again, another instance where the suit changes, and definitely I would say one of my other favorite suits because I really like the suit for this film, even though it gets used multiple times for like the next four movies, but it's still a cool, unique look.
Yes.
Now, Godzilla's Revenge, a film that I would definitely say is a very, I guess you could say split down the middle, but it's more so negative than positive. I'll keep it in C, slightly over Raids again, but fun fact about this movie, this was the very first Godzilla movie that I ever watched.
Ah,
And this film, like I said, gets a lot of negative like reviews and yeah, I could definitely understand because another thing that I almost forgot to mention throughout the course of like the show series, mostly the show series, I forget if like the Heisei or Millennium does this too. Maybe a little bit, but show series definitely for sure relies heavily on stock footage because there's a lot of stock footage that's used throughout the course of like most of the Showa movies, and this is a prime example of that.
yes.
But I actually really still enjoy this film overall, even though it's in C, because again, this was the very first film that I got to see. I saw no film, like no other film at the time. So like seeing all like the stock footage of like Sea Monster and like Son of Godzilla, I thought that was all new to me. So I was like, oh wow, okay. I mean, obviously that's not the case now, but like at the time, it's kind of interesting how like what do you get introduced to first? So it's like, oh cool, this is unique and cool. And
I mean, the show era's got that in spades, though, doing unique stuff.
mhm, yeah. Any thoughts on the monster that gets introduced in this? The villain, I should say, with Gabara.
To me, it's a very kind of mid kaiju. I mean, it's this is one of my least favorite Godzilla films in general. I don't have really any big opinions on it just because it's this film. Like if I see any Godzilla film on, for the most part, I'll be like, oh, I'll watch that. This is one of them that I probably would pass on.
And yeah, no, that's understandable because it's not a very loved film, but I think again, just one of those like nostalgic factors for me. I still have an appreciation for this. I mean, obviously not more than some of the other films. Like some of these other films are definitely higher for sure in terms
Yeah.
of like overall quality and story. But I always come back to appreciate this film just for like the nostalgia factor and like those positive reasons. And again, I totally understand. Godzilla vs. Hedorah, our next film on the list. You know, after thinking about it for a while, I've really come to appreciate this movie overall. And I even put it in A.
Oh yeah, I love this movie.
Granted, trippy as all hell, for
Yeah,
sure.
yes,
Like like it'll definitely, even if you don't do drugs, you'll definitely feel like you've been on an acid trip because you're
yeah,
just seeing all the cartoons, the weird colors, people just dancing with fish heads for reasons. But like I said, I come to appreciate this film overall. Like it has a very good environmental message, which this was kind of like the case that we're starting getting into like the environmental aspects of like the Godzilla series. And I remember reading a book that I have somewhere. I think it's in storage somewhere in one of like my dressers or drawers. But it talks about how like the first half of the Showa series did like really successful, and then like once we started getting to like films like Revenge and then Hedorah, yeah, it started going downhill. But something to appreciate is like the second half of the Showa series gave us some really cool and unique looking kaiju. And Hedorah is definitely a perfect example of that. I love Hedorah so much.
yeah. I love the idea of just living Smog. What a creature he is. Now, granted, he looks like if like H.R. Giger were to design a Sesame Street character, but I feel like that's part of his charm. But he was a legitimate threat, and it was also really cool because I love creatures with different forms, and Hedorah is he's up there with creatures that are able to shapeshift. Not as much as my favorite kaiju, which we'll see later on.
Hmm. Yes, indeed. And yeah, Godzilla flying. Yes.
Oh, who doesn't love when Godzilla just defies the laws of physics?
Uh, Another shout out that I will give to Angry Video Game Nerd. He brings up a point on the DVD menu where it says like something you don't see every day. Yep, that
Very true.
that makes sense. That makes 110% true. But yeah, Godzilla vs. Hedorah. Really good film overall. Something that I've come to appreciate over the years, and I love Hedorah. I would definitely say one of my favorites. I don't know where he would rank, but Hedorah would definitely be fairly high on the list, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now we have Godzilla vs. Gigan, which is our next film on the list, and I would, hmm, trying to think where I had it. Um, so I'm looking on my like list for Letterbox. I'm trying to see like where I put that. I would definitely say it's another B film. I'll keep it here for right now. I
Yeah. I'd say,
again,
high C, low B.
yeah. And again, bringing up aliens once again, we have another alien related film, this time with cockroaches disguised as like human aliens, and which was very interesting to see. And I loved how like the main character of the film, like the human character, was kind of like a comic book artist because some of those designs that he drew were very like flashy and unique, and thought they looked really cool. And this was the first time you got to see Gigan, who was making his big screen debut. And I think definitely one of my other personal favorite kaijus in general. I'm a big Gigan fan. I always liked his look. I mean, granted, even for him looking like a robot chicken.
I mean, how could you not love a giant cyborg space chicken?
Everybody loves that.
Make
And
lots of money.
indeed, which again, they're doing unique stuff, which is always appreciative because they're always trying new things here and there, bringing in new kaijus, bringing in new designs. And you might be confused for a second, like, hey, Ghidorah is there. Wasn't he gone in Destroy All Monsters? Well, technically, even though this film came out after Destroy All Monsters, the way that it's set in the timeline is that Destroy All Monsters takes place in the year 1999. And I forgot where, like, how this film is set, but basically, going by, like, the story timeline, Godzilla vs. Gigan took place before Destroy All Monsters. It's a little confusing, but basically, like, Ghidorah is still alive within this film. Like, Destroy All Monsters, the events that happened in this film didn't really take place yet, anyways. And this was also like the first that you'll definitely see like the wear and tear. You could definitely tell where the wear and tear and like the suits come into play because
Yeah.
Ghidorah, it's only this suit throughout the entirety of like the show series. So like you can definitely tell the suit's been taking a beating, and especially this suit for like Godzilla because Godzilla, this was the fourth time that they used this suit. And
It was struggling.
yes. There's even a scene that they pointed out after getting knocked down by Gigan and coming back up, trying to get his redemption, and like he's throwing his arms out in the air. You could definitely see pieces of the suit falling off for sure, which
Yeah, it
was
was rough.
you could definitely tell they were like, okay, we got to do something new, essentially. Also, the very last film of the Godzilla suit actor Haru Nakajima, which this was his final hurrah for this movie right here. So for the remaining three Showa films, it's a different suit actor. Fortunately, he's no longer with us because he sadly passed away in I think 2017. So it's been a couple of years, but he's definitely left a iconic legacy for Godzilla to start throughout the entirety of the Showa series,
Yes.
or at least like the films that we haven't up until this point with Gigan. And next up on our list, Godzilla versus Megalon.
Oh, buddy.
Honestly, for me, I gotta put it in A.
Yeah, for sure.
I gotta put
Especially
it
with
in
one of the
A.
characters they introduce.
Oh my God. So for starters, right off the bat, this film was made in 3 weeks, I think, from what I remember anyways. But honestly, I don't even care about them. This film is the epitome of an awesome wrestling match. It has one of my favorite kaijus in Megalon. Megalon's a really cool beetle looking thing. Godzilla comes back in a different new suit, which is awesome. You get to see the return of Gigan. And of course, the one and only Jet Jagger. Jet
Jet
Jagger.
Jaguar. How can you
Punch,
not love Jet Jaguar?
punch, punch, punch. This was also another instance where Jet Jaguar was supposed this was supposed to be his film. But again, another instance where they threw Godzilla in last minute. Still, I think worked overall because again, I just everything about this movie from start to finish is just pure goofiness. Like especially when like Godzilla is like smacking them with the tree. You have like Godzilla flying on Jaguar's back to get out of like the ring of fire. And you want to talk about how like Godzilla flying was out of character? Oh man. Oh man, oh man. The epic tail to flying drop kicks is
The flying
easily
drop. Godzilla's most signature move, apart from his jumping in the air, turning, like curling up like a shrimp and flying backwards. Those are his two most iconic moves from this era.
oh for sure. And it's honestly my favorite out of context moment, which
Yeah,
like that tail has some support for sure. There's a lot of muscle that's been incorporated into that tail for him to have like all that.
and one thing we haven't talked about much is the human characters. Much like the 54 film, I actually really, really like the human characters in this film.
Oh yeah, too, definitely. Cause I love how the guy's like one guy's an inventor and he can like invent devices to help to communicate with Jet Jaguar.
Yeah, it was it Goro Ibuki, I think.
Yeah, like especially when like Jet Jaguar's flying toward him in the air, he's like Jet Jaguar stop, he just stops halfway.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the human characters like even though goofy vibes, like they're still kind of like doing stuff with them here and there
Yeah.
as well, which was cool to see. Uh, but yeah, this film overall, man, my God, chef's kiss.
Yes, absolutely. And it really it cranked up that Showa goofiness, but in a way that made it absolutely entertaining.
Mhm. Ah, yes. We come down to the final two entries of the Showa series with the introduction of Godzilla's mechanical counterpart, Mechagodzilla. First
Cue the
up,
jazz music.
ding, 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 okay. And Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. It's an instant A for me.
Yes.
Instant A. One of my favorite aspects of this film is maybe not necessarily right away, but over time I've come to appreciate it, is the overall inclusion of like when you see Godzilla for the first time, or sorry, Mecha Godzilla, he's disguised as Godzilla, which was like, oh, nice. That's so cool to see. Like a,
Godzilla Terminator.
yeah, there you go. Oh my God, poor Anguirus. They did my boy Anguirus dirty in this. He gets like one good shot to like show that like that's not Godzilla. Like when reveals the skin, but then after that, oh, you don't see him for a while.
Yeah.
Not until Final Wars, but again, we'll get to that. But One of my favorite designs for Mechagodzilla, for sure. He's just very menacing. The overall amount of weaponry this guy has, and it took two monsters to finally take him down, which he was definitely very durable and strong for that aspect.
Yeah.
And it has my boy King Caesar in it. My boy King Caesar, just like a god dog looking thing, and he's just so cool. I love when he like perks his ears up too, kind of just very like dog aspect.
Boo.
Or like when he's angry, he's like, I don't care, I'm happy or angry. Oh yeah, Godzilla has the Force in this.
Oh, that's right.
I know it's like him absorbing electricity, but like people make the joke in the past of like him, like he's a Star Wars character, he has the Force. Also a very brutal film, I will say, because again, Anguirus, poor Anguirus gets his jaw broken. You see like Godzilla starting to bleed. I mean, granted, like I mean, Gigan was the first to do that. I forgot to mention that aspect too, like when he's cutting his shoulder and you see like the blood splurting
Yeah.
like from his neck, but like it's all over his body this time, not just from one area.
Yeah, no, he got roughed up pretty bad in this one.
And a very formidable foe as
Oh,
well.
absolutely. I love when they pop his head off though. When they pop Mechagodzilla's head, it's got the little brain in there.
Yes, and this is our good segue to our next entry, Terror of Mechagodzilla. And definitely between the two, um, is my personal favorite because this has like stuff that I really enjoy about this movie. It has my favorite Godzilla design. Mech Godzilla makes another return, and this time, like again, kind of like how Aiden just mentioned, you see him popping out the head and the little brains in there. He's still able to fight, which was pretty cool. I dug Titanosaurus, I will say. Kind of a weird cackle, but like overall pretty cool for just like a dinosaur. I mean, hey, he doesn't like dinosaurs, right?
I mean, like I felt the same way about Titanosaurus as I did about, Ibira. It's just for me it was just another monster, but Mechagodzilla 2 was a shining example of how to do a villain right for an early Godzilla movie. I thought Mechagodzilla 2 was awesome.
Oh yeah, can't go wrong with that.
No.
And this was a perfect way to send off Godzilla, at least for now, right now in the Showa series, because definitely went out for a bang for sure. So that pretty much wraps up the entirety of the Showa series with 15 films. My goodness, probably the most I will definitely say for Godzilla, which is a good majority of like the series as a whole, just the entire like all 15 films. And next up on our list, we now move into the Heisei series. And I'm probably going to get some hot take. Probably going to get some flack for this, but hot take for 1984, The Return of Godzilla in 1985. It's probably a C for me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, no, I have to disagree with. I would put it at least A. I love this movie.
and hear me out for a sec before I don't hate this movie. I think similar to Raids Again, I think it's one of those things, maybe it's something that I'm missing, but especially compared to something that, like, if I were to, like, have this film and say, like, the 1954 film, of course I'm going to pick the 54 film for obvious reasons, but, like, that's not a dig on this film by any means. It's like, the suit is one of my favorite suits, and I love the cinematography in this movie, but, I don't know, something about it was just kind of like not for me personally, and I guess a lot of it too just has to do with the simple fact with the Heisei movies that we get later on, kind of low on the totem pole for me.
I would say for me, it's mid range for the Heisei era specifically. But I mean, as a film, I really really enjoyed it. So for those of you watching, don't worry, I get it. No, but yeah, no, the fantastic suit.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely love the suit. It's definitely in my top five, for sure. I'm gonna get as a joke. I'm gonna get a comment be like, "How dare you? This should be high." Like people are gonna agree with you more so than me. No, I'm kidding.
This is an S tier movie. What are you talking about?
This should be an S. What are you talking about? How dare you put this in C of all things?
You disrespected my boy.
Unsubscribing, even though nobody really.
Exactly. Yeah.
But no, that's just kind of like my whole reasoning behind it. And again, not a terrible film, just not one that really stuck to me. I think a lot of it didn't really help with the fact that like this was one of the last films that I had to watch in order to like say that like, hey, I've watched all the Godzilla movies. Even with that, like I could definitely I understand why this film is so popular. It has like a lot of overall and just one of the popular suits. Like I totally understand that for sure. And like speaking of horror elements, when like the guy is on the ship and he's fighting like that sea lice,
Yeah.
uh, something that's different about the like between the Japanese and the American version is that like with the American version, it's not like that scene's not as long, but like the Japanese version, they extended that scene more, which was kind of cool to see.
Yeah.
Like you got to see more with that fight, like something that you didn't see if you watched the American version, which was kind of a cool touch, I will say.
And I always prefer to watch the Japanese versions anyway.
Oh yeah, and introduction to the Super X as well, which was
Yes.
a very unique weapon and definitely one of the highlights of that film.
Yeah. Super X2 was weird, but we'll get to that.
As in right now, no kidding.
Yeah.
Godzilla versus Biollante. Again, another film that I really appreciate overall. I'm definitely gonna put it in A. I think a lot of it just has to do with the fact that like, did you know this film was scripted by a fan? Well, scripted in the sense of like at the time of the film's release there was a contest held to see like what kind of like villain Godzilla was going to fight, like what was going to be the villain for the next film. And the person who came up with the idea to like draw Biolante actually won the contest, and then their design got to be put into this film.
Indeed. I love when they do that too.
Oh
Jet
yes.
Jaguar, I think, was a similar thing.
Oh really?
Yeah, I think Jet Jaguar was a fan submission and they brought it to life, but they changed a whole bunch of it from the original concept.
Gotcha. Yeah, I really love this film overall, just for like that all unique aspect of how like Biolante was. The way that Biolante was created in the lab was also really a cool aspect because of how like using Godzilla DNA with like the soul, the human mixed with a rose, and then you get Biolante, which is definitely a very cool and unique looking monster for it just
I
being like a plant.
Yeah, I love Biolante's design. She's got those, the tendrils with the Venus flytrap looking things on them. This big crocodilian head and a glowing heart. I was like, ooh, first time I saw her, I was like, all right, we've entered the peak era of Godzilla.
Yes, indeed. Probably one of my favorite action sequences too, like with him fighting the military. Just I love the overall sound designing for
Yeah.
that. And in the previous film, the way that one ends with Godzilla falling into the volcano and him coming out of the same one, which was kind of like the first interest like the first instance where you get to see like that whole idea of like sequel aspect because this and Biolante kind of followed each other very nicely. And then him just kind of rising out of the volcano with the theme playing in the background. Oh, and like there's explosions. He's kind of like roaring as he's coming out. Oh, it's so cool.
Yes. Very
And
strong intro.
and one of the few Heisei films that I owned on VHS. I
I
owned
had I had a
this.
few of them on DVD. I never owned any of them on VHS though.
Yeah, I owned that film by Alonso on VHS. I had Destroy All Monsters VHS, Megalon, Godzilla's Revenge. I had the. I mean, we're gonna get to it, but like I had Space Godzilla and the TriStar Godzilla on VHS as well, and I think that was it for the most part.
Gotcha.
And I think overall, just a unique concept, unique kaiji, really cool story. Not just with like the monsters, but the humans as well. Like especially with like the assassin trying to like steal the DNA for himself.
Yeah,
Or
it felt very Jurassic Park to me in parts, and I really liked that.
mm-hmm. Now, yeah, it's been a little bit since I've seen these movies, but I remember like there was a an assassin trying to get the DNA for himself, and then like you had like the shootout with like the military, like fighting each other in like the subways.
Yeah.
Um, I also remember the just the overall fights in general with like that guy in particular. I remember those, and there was a part in the movie which plays like which will play later on in Space Godzilla where like the guy who was in the building shooting like the missiles that like the cadmium rounds into Godzilla and then like he gets killed in the building as it's like crumbled. That's actually the brother of Yuki. I think it's Yuki for Space Godzilla.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and that's why the whole revenge aspect comes into play because like killing his brother.
Yeah, I haven't seen Godzilla versus Biollante in a long time. I'd completely forgotten about that.
Yeah, and helps to set up that arc very nicely overall. And probably would be a little higher on the list if it wasn't for Mr. Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah in S.
Yeah.
The first, I think this was a first for a lot of reasons because like this was the first time where it was just like I mean, obviously Ghidorah was introduced already, but this is really the first time where it's just Godzilla and King Ghidorah duking it out with no other monsters involved. This is also the first time we get time travel introduced into it, which was the way that they explain time travel in this could be a little confusing at first, but like it clicks with you basically. It's just explained really well for me. It was really cool because you got to see the origins of Godzilla in this particular instance because like he was originally a dinosaur called Godzillasaurus and them them on the island fighting like all the military and then like Godzillasaurus comes in takes out all the American soldiers which was kind of like a very ironic thing if that makes sense.
Yeah, and they reference that in -1.
Mm-hmm. It's very ironic how you're supposed to be rooting for like kind of funny how they make the I guess us look like the bad guys essentially. I don't know.
Yeah.
Try, not gonna get into it too much, but it's just funny and ironic for that matter. And I think for me, in terms of like standard Heisei Godzilla, the 91, it's either like for me like the 91 or I would definitely agree with you with like the Space Godzilla suit because whenever I think of like just standard normal like Godzilla from like the 90s, those two suits usually pop in my head the most.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the Space Godzilla version of Godzilla is my favorite. It's a fantastic suit. It's very clean, very well balanced.
Hmm. I would also say the same thing for this one because he looks very like definitely dinosaur-ish in a way, like the
Yeah.
91 suit. And also for the first three entries of the Heisei Godzilla, he has such a cool, unique roar to it.
Yeah, his
And
kind of went down at the end.
mhm. And I know after like Ghidorah, they went back to kind of using the Showa roar, which I didn't mind. It was totally fine. But those first three films had such cool, unique roars to them,
Yeah.
and definitely a fantastic film overall. I mean, I highly recommend it if you haven't seen. Like, definitely a really good time travel film overall. And people, they're kind of like, I wouldn't say aliens, but like they come back from the future because they're like more advanced civilization. And the android played by Robert Scottfield, who's M11,
Yeah.
definitely a show stealer, I will say for sure.
100%. He was probably my favorite quote unquote humanoid character.
Same here, honestly. Especially when he's like running and like they speed up the footage, so he just has like that stoic, generic like face on him. He's just like,
Yeah.
alrighty. So
Next
next,
up.
Moth, or well, Godzilla versus Mothra from the 90s. I will definitely put in B, and I will definitely rank it higher than some of these other. I'll put it like right here for now. Again, another instance of like bringing back that whole environmental aspect. I think this is where we start getting like some of my more favorite Mothra designs, because like the one from this movie is really cool, but my personal favorite Mothra comes from the, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but it's from the trilogy of Mothra films that came out in the 90s, titled like the Rebirth of Mothra trilogy.
Gotcha.
Which those films are actually not bad at all. They're pretty decent. I like them. But my favorite Mothra comes from that personally. And I'll show you an image of it. I can show you an image of it later. Or I can post it here on screen as well, like post editing. But yeah, I
Yeah, that'll
really
work.
like. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I said that'll work.
But I really love Mothra in this. She's really cool, really pretty, fluffy, cute. Uh, Godzilla is still very menacing, which um, probably one of my least favorite showings for Godzilla. Not necessarily because it's a bad suit, but I don't know. You don't really see him like do too much throughout the course of the film, and it's kind of cool to see him do more. But I mean, hey, work with what you got, right?
Yeah, no, that's really my only complaint with this film is that for a movie called Godzilla versus Mothra, there wasn't a whole lot of Godzilla.
I will definitely say something that makes up for it though is when, oh yeah, by the way, Batra gets introduced. At some point in the near future, I got to do a like a ranking list of my favorite Godzilla monsters that like he's fought throughout the series, and Batra is easily one of my favorites. He's just
Absolutely.
so menacing, especially the larva. Like the moth form is pretty cool too. Don't get me wrong, but that larva is just ooh.
Wicked looking.
I have one of the statues of him in my
Oh,
room
sick.
currently. Yeah.
Yeah, who doesn't love Hot Topic Mothra?
Yeah, I like that. Who doesn't love her? Uh, oh, for sure. But something that I was gonna bring up about like Godzilla, something that kind of makes up for the whole him not really doing too much is there's a part in the movie where they're fighting. Him and Batra are fighting underwater. This is like the first encounter that they have, and like the sea floor opens up and you see like lava starting to break through, and then they go like they eventually like sink in to like the lava. You're like, hey, what happens to them? You know, Godzilla's just coming out of the lava, chilling, like a villain. The theme is playing in the background. He's walking towards, yeah, just him coming out of like the lava and like the volcano, like
Yeah.
later on in the film, just shows you how durable he really is.
Yeah, Heisei Godzilla's a tank.
Yeah. And that's, I guess, really the only thing between the both of us. Just kind of wish he did more throughout the course of the film,
Yeah.
but still a solid entry overall. I also kind of like the sound design for his beam because for the most part throughout the series, it's like that standard, like iconic sound effect.
Yeah.
But the way that they do the sound design for his beam always kind of sounds very like it's like a laser in a way, which is kind of cool,
As it should be.
like a beep.
Yeah, it sounds a lot more concentrated.
Yeah. Now you want to talk about bangers of a soundtrack? Look no further than Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, which I will definitely put. Hmm. I'm gonna put it right here for now. Like slightly above Biolante, but not over the original, like Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. Oh my god, dude. The soundtrack in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2 is such a banger. Especially Mechagodzilla's theme. Oh, it's so sick.
Yeah.
I like how they also use like remains of like Mecha King Ghidorah to build Mechagodzilla. I thought that was a cool aspect. The Godzilla design is not bad. Still standard like Heisei Godzilla fare, but I appreciate him having a little more to do. And I don't know, something about this that I liked. It kind of had a little bit more character in a way. They introduced Godzilla's song again, and like he's adopting it as like a hatchling. You could kind of tell like he's sensing that he's nearby, and he just kind of wants to like meet him, be like, "Hey, how's it going?
Hey kid, where's your parents? No parents? Okay, I am your dad now.
Come on in." And of course, who could forget our boy Rodan? Our boy Rodan's back in this as well.
I actually
For
really like Heisei Rodan.
it's a cool look, and I love how they give him a beam in this and give him like fire Rodan
Yeah.
as well, which was a playable character in like the Godzilla video games. Not the
Yes, he
newer
was.
one.
No.
Not the newer one. The Pipeworks one is what I was
Yeah.
is the one that I'm referring to. Which those games are so much fun. I wish I could play those again, but I don't know. PS2 is currently out of commission at the moment,
Oh
but
no.
those games were so much fun. And this was also another instance of the whole idea of this was supposed to be the last Godzilla film, but they saved that again. They decided to change that again.
Yeah.
And this was also the introduction of what I would consider to be one of, if not the strongest atomic breaths in the series with the red spiral ray. And the way that they incorporate that, let's just say, I won't spoil it too much, but let's say Rodan gives him some juice.
I don't know if I'd word it quite that way, but sure.
Maybe a little too much juice, but you know, helps to revive him.
He pulls a Mothra.
Yes, you need a little revive from like Call of Duty Zombies. No.
Get up. Your job's not done yet.
I love like that whole thing of like when he comes back after being revived and like there's like you see all like the glitter, there's like all this radiation coming off of him. It's actually melting like the diamond coated armor of like Mechagodzilla and Super Mechagodzilla. And I kind of got those vibes of like, oh, he's back, but hey, I took him out once before. I can do it again. Oh, he's about to do his hammer breath. Oh, that did nothing the first time around, and then he starts. Yeah,
no, it was so much worse than before.
He starts shooting the red beam, and it's like, oh fuck, oh Jesus, oh, ow, 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 this hot.
Oh, oh, that actually hurt. Wait a minute.
And he's just walking toward him, just beaming him.
Menacingly.
And the iconic themes, like, oh, definitely one of my favorites in the Heisei for sure. I would honestly probably say maybe three, like third favorite in the Heisei, because two would be Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, and then one is we're getting to it very shortly. My favorite in the Heisei series is something that we're actually getting to very, very shortly. But beforehand, since we kind of talked about it a little bit here and there, let's dive into Godzilla versus Space Godzilla.
Ah, yes.
And I will definitely, I think for me, I'll put it at B. Like the film overall is not bad, but definitely one of my favorite kaijus for sure. Space Godzilla is such a unique look.
Yeah, with the crystals growing out of them.
And again, kind of how we were talking about before, this Godzilla suit looks really good. I think the only other Heisei film that I owned on VHS was this one right here, Space Godzilla, because definitely have some nostalgia with this one for sure.
Plus, we get little Godzilla. Oh, he's never looked cuter.
Oh, he's so adorable.
He blows the little bubbles and then he starts learning how to do, the atomic breath. I love that so much. But anytime he was in danger, the stakes immediately were raised. You're like, no,
Jump boys. He's shooting jump boys.
save him! It's like, oh no, not Tokyo, not again. But with this film, it's save that little green guy.
I don't know if you would make the argument. This kind of felt like very anime-ish in a way.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that was because of like Godzilla gets his butt into him first time around, but like he has like that moment of like redemption, trying to like trade himself up to build himself up. Space Godzilla is like the perfect like anime villain with like crystals all over the place, trying to take over the world that way. And I don't know, it kind of felt kind of weird, like when he after he beats Godzilla the first time around, kidnaps his kid, puts him in like that crystal prison. He had him right there, but then
Yeah.
he just decides to fly off, and then Godzilla chases after him. Which I don't know, wouldn't you be able to easily break him out? I mean, like it shows later on that like the crystals don't take too much to like be destroyed, but I don't know.
I think he
This
was
is
more fueled by rage by this point. He's like, "Oh no, he got my kid. No, this won't stand. I'm gonna go kill him."
true, yeah, definitely for sure.
We also got Mogera in this film, didn't we?
Yes, second time around, because the first time was way back in 1957, I believe, with the Mysterians.
I
Like,
really, really like Heisei Mogera. I love the design of it. Even though he's got like the goofy mosquito face, I love it.
I love how they kind of like build them up, like, oh, this thing is like awesome, it's more advanced, built from Mechagodzilla's remains, kind of similar to how Mecha King Ghidorah was. Oh, this thing will do us justice, and like, you could clearly tell. I mean, obviously, it's one of those instances where like you gotta shut your brain off and just enjoy it. But you can definitely tell that like the space battle that they have, the asteroids are just hung up by strings. They're not really moving in place. They're just kind of like stagnant, which is kind of funny to see.
Yeah.
Poor Morgera kind of gets his butt into him, and
Oh
honestly,
yeah.
another monster I kind of appreciated. I do gotta agree. I do like Mogera. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't put him over like Mech Godzilla or even Mecha King Ghidorah. But Mogira has definitely proven his worth over the years.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, he took out Space Godzilla's shoulder crystals, paid for it, but he took out his one part of his power, weakening
He
him.
he did not go out in vain.
Yes, indeed. And again, another brought they brought back the red beam for Godzilla, which was cool to see. because it kind of just happens out of nowhere. You see like sparks and like lights crackling out of him, and then he just starts shooting the beam. That's how he destroys both Space Godzilla and Mogira, for that matter.
Yeah, I think it's caused by stress,
Oh yeah, that too.
but overall, very good film.
Yeah, like I said, it, it's a solid film. I would definitely put it over like um Godzilla vs. Mothra for sure, like the Heisei version. Um, even over 84, but I know.
No, I for the fun factor, I would definitely put it over 84.
hmm And now, last but most certainly not least, for the Heisei era, the only film that I would put over not just most of the films in the Heisei era, but just Godzilla films in general, is Godzilla vs. Destroyer, right in S.
As it should be.
Oh,
What a monster Destroya was.
oh my God. Zilla. Anyways.
Yeah, that's right. Um, yeah, no, the kind of the mutation of Destroya that we see going from the little ancient sea creature to the kind of the little aggregate forms, and then they all combine into what we finally see. All those designs are so good. The sound design for Destroya as well, his beam effect, how it kind of shrieks, just being fired, and of course, um, we get Godzilla Jr., which he's growing up
Yep.
now, a little teenage Godzilla. Um, and we cannot mention this movie without mentioning the absolute nuclear powerhouse that is burning Godzilla.
Yes. Oh my God. Where do I begin? For starters, this film has everything that I love. It has one of my, similar to what Aiden mentioned, one of my favorite Godzilla designs, Burning Godzilla. I absolutely adore him. I bought the Monster Arts figure. I I have like a vinyl of like one of the theater exclusives, which is like an orange Godzilla from this movie. Godzilla Jr. is my favorite Godzilla design, like for his son. That's my favorite design for his son. And of course, Destroya, my all time favorite kaiju. This thing was an absolute menace. Plus, plus not even the mention the fact that this film really felt like an apocalyptic film in a way, because not only is Godzilla on the verge of death from absorbing like too much radiation, not just from Rodan, but like the island that they were on in I think, if I'm not mistaken, the island from Godzilla, or like in this movie Destroyer, was the same one that was in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2 and Space Godzilla, which was like they call it Birth Island, I believe. But like when that film opens up, you see like the islands disappear and like all the radiation's been basically absorbed into Godzilla, and he's on the verge of meltdown. And once he melts down to like I think it was like 1200 degrees, he's basically a walking nuke with enough power to wipe out humanity as we know it. And yeah, not only to top off the cherry on this apocalyptic cake, we get Destroya, who, from the result of the Oxygen Destroyer back from the original 1954 film, which was part of the reason what Dr. Serizawa at the time feared, because he didn't want the weapon. The reason why he didn't want to use the weapon was because, he was afraid of it falling into wrong hands, which technically didn't, but it still led to a negative outcome because, like, all the crustaceous life, dead Brachamian life that was underneath the ocean got affected by the result or like the outcome of the Oxygen Destroyer, and then slowly mutate over time into Destroya.
And the soundtrack that we get when Destroyer reaches its apex form. He spreads his wings. There's like lightning behind him.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yeah, talking about bangers of a soundtrack, like Akira Ifukube composed most of like the soundtrack for a lot of the Godzilla films throughout the years, and an absolute true legend, I will say.
Absolutely. And what I really love about Destroya is that he helped to give rise to my favorite version of Godzilla, which we'll get to a little bit later. But they recycled his pretty much his kind of origin story as well as his beam effect for a future version of Godzilla. And it worked too well.
Hmm. Oh my god, I just ooh, I really love this movie so much, and yeah, like the soundtrack, as we just mentioned, was really cool. One of my favorite tracks is like when they bring back the Godzilla theme after like Destroyer gets introduced. He kills off Godzilla's son, which was the first case of like you get to see like a kaiju kill another kaiju in this, which was insane to see, especially for like the Godzilla series, because for the most part, I don't think necessarily any of the villains that were fought like died, or maybe they just like ran off for the most part and then came back for the next movie or so on, so on and so forth. But to see like something actually get killed in this was just like, oh wow, this was a shocking like change of pace. And then like the roar that he lets out with like the sad music playing in the background, definitely a gut wrenching feeling. But then like you could definitely tell this is a kaiju that has nothing left to lose. And like when the theme starts playing and he's charging towards Destroy, I just love the sense of weight and character throughout the course of this fight. He's got nothing left to lose and he's absolutely fuming at this thing.
Yeah, I mean, but again, we get another example of a Godzilla death in this one.
Oh yes, that
With the
too.
yeah, with the military, basically attempting to freeze Godzilla. He does melt down, and it's just a tragic scene. His
Yeah.
final roars as he's melting, like literally his flesh is melting off of his bones, and the score that plays is just heartbreaking. And of course, we get our new Godzilla at the end of this
Yeah. And obviously like nothing gets blown up, but like Godzilla just melts down peacefully as like people
into a
are
crater.
military attempting to freeze him. I also love the scene beforehand when like you start to see like the meltdown begin. It starts with like the spines melting, and then it he starts releasing all of this energy out of nowhere, and then you get like the scene, or sorry, not the scene, the track, the same track that plays at the beginning of the film when he's in Hong Kong, which
Yeah,
is one of my favorite tracks from that film. And like you could definitely tell like the red spiral ray is getting stronger and stronger.
yeah. What a it was really a downer of an ending for Godzilla for this one, but still so cool.
Yes, I definitely agree. We get the infamous cliffhanger at the end, if you will. But the way that it ends though is just like oof. Gut wrenching, but then also kind of like happy to see because again, new Godzilla, and that's basically Godzilla Jr. fully grown into Godzilla, carrying the legacy of the iconic King of the Monsters.
Yeah, and he not only does he carry on the legacy, but he carries on the radiation because that's what brought him back from death was just the absolutely unreal amount of radiation that Godzilla was letting off when he melted down.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure, 100%. And so that pretty much wraps up the Heisei series. And this was another instance where like we're not gonna do any more films, or at least it was essentially like we weren't gonna do any films, but we might wait a little bit, give like America a chance, and yeah, they came back fairly quickly because now we get into America's first attempt at a Godzilla film with the infamous TriStar Godzilla.
Oh.
I could hear the grunting.
Oh, I know what tier this needs to go into.
Right, haven't seen, right? No, kidding.
We'll just pretend it doesn't exist.
um, although I will say, and you might give me the Luigi Death Stare afterwards. I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna I'm gonna put it in C. And there's a reason why this is in C. We'll get to it later on, which oh, I'm staring at these three films right now. But anyways, don't. Anyways, don't get sidetracked. Don't get sidetracked. Let's get back to it. The American Godzilla, a film that has a lot of mixed things about it, or at least from what I'm hearing. Aiden, I'll let you start off since, based on that reaction, I will let you start off with your thoughts on it.
I'll start off with the positives. So this was, really early use of CGI. And given how early on in the use of CGI for films it wasn't bad. They had a couple practical shots that were also really interesting. Some of the shots in the film were really cool. You see him hanging onto the building and roaring with the lightning going on. That was neat. The idea that he was initially a marine iguana, I think, is a really interesting idea because it would make sense. It's a sea dwelling lizard. So I think that was a cool idea. It was a good human cast. Um, Here's where things are going to turn. So, the design for Godzilla. This is not Godzilla. This is I separate this one from Godzilla. Like as its own kaiju, I think it would be really really cool. Um, but as Godzilla, I think it completely drops the ball. And just the direction they went with it, I think it could have been so much better, especially after seeing what Stan Winston's design was going to be, because he put together a whole maquette of his idea for what this Godzilla would look like, and it was really really cool. If you can find a picture of that to throw in here,
Oh, yeah, definitely, for
I would
sure.
definitely recommend that because it's so good. But we got this weird square-headed iguana looking thing, and it didn't look or feel like Godzilla. And it's I think C is a fair tier, just because there were good aspects about the movie, but there were a lot of ways that they completely fumbled the ball with Godzilla himself.
It's funny how you bring up, like, Stan Winston's design because not just with that, this wasn't supposed to be, like, the film that we got wasn't supposed to be this. It
No,
was,
he's gonna fight a griffin.
yeah, he was gonna fight the Griffin, and they had, like, two different, like, filmmakers had a different screenplay and, like, story all ready for this, but somebody turned it down. I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was Toho or like some, or no. I think it was like TriStar. For some odd reason, turned it down because I guess they didn't see it as like marketable. Which why?
It wasn't realistic, I guess.
Like, I don't know. And funny enough, I actually found. I think I found the screenplay for the film that they were originally going to do. From what I've read, because obviously I haven't finished it, from what I've read, there was some really cool stuff in there, especially with like how the Griffin is like essentially how they explain it. It's like an alien organism that like mutates from dissecting and killing all other animals throughout the world, and
Yeah,
like um once they kill it, it absorbs a feature into its body. So like that's how we basically get the Griffin.
yeah. Which
And
I
the
thought
way,
was really cool.
yeah, same here. And the way that I think they explain Godzilla, he's kind of like almost like lizard like in a way, the way he's like crawling around and everything. But unfortunately, they were like, nah, it's not too marketable enough. That's how we get Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin coming into play, which
We saw how that went.
my overall thoughts on the movie is, yeah, I could totally understand. Like, obviously, this is not a Godzilla film. I definitely agree with that whole aspect. But I think something that I really appreciate is the overall look for Zilla. I still really like the look, personally. I
As
thought it
as
was,
a design by itself, it's really good. But for
yeah,
Godzilla, that's where it's like ah.
yeah. I think really, I just didn't really like the human characters, or, well, some of them, not all of them. There was a few that I liked, but some of the others were just kind of like either or forgettable for the
Yeah.
most part. But no, I really like Zilla's design overall. If you look at it as like a general monster movie, but it's not terrible. But as a Godzilla film, yeah, I could totally understand why.
What's worse is that was my introduction to Godzilla.
Oh, ooh.
Yeah.
I think another reason why I still appreciate Zilla is, I mean, it's not on here, but the animated series that came out after, which was like the sequel to this film, I actually really like the cartoon. I would say I like the cartoon more so than the movie.
I haven't seen it.
I'd recommend it because it's because like the Zilla design that we get in that is it's basically the, if you remember at the ending with the egg and the cliffhanger,
Yeah, it was one of his offspring.
that's like the offspring basically carries the legacy, and he's actually like, he doesn't die right away. He has like green atomic breath, and he actually fights like cool looking monsters throughout the course of the series.
Yeah, I've seen like an analysis of the series, so I got a little bit of kind of an idea of what it's about. I just haven't like sat down and watched the series itself.
Yeah, the cartoon's actually pretty cool. I really like that. But yeah, no, I totally understand like why it gets like mixed reviews. Another thing that's nice about this, if it wasn't for this, if you want to think about it this way, we wouldn't get another series for Godzilla, because now we can kind of move into the Millennium series for Godzilla. And starting off, we have Godzilla 2000, which I will definitely, honestly, one of my personal favorites. I, hmm, think the last time I ranked this, I think I had an S. Nah, you know what? It's an S. I like this movie.
I'll be honest, I actually haven't seen the Millennium films.
Really?
Yeah. I've of
Huh.
course I've seen all the designs and creatures from it just through looking at different versions of the kaiju, but so that I can weigh in on design. It's just the films themselves I could not tell you.
Oh, okay. So with this, I won't get into too many spoilers in that case, but
No, go ahead.
oh no, okay. um, I guess it's another instance of like films that I appreciate over the years because of like there's a team of people, like the main characters throughout the course of the movie, they call themselves the Godzilla Prevention Network, and they basically go around just basically analyzing, studying Godzilla as like an organism. Obviously military comes back into play with like trying to get rid of Godzilla, and like the evil corporation, like the head guy and the main character, his name is Shindo. They used to be like former partners, but they like left each other for I guess things they couldn't agree on.
Creative differences.
There you go. That's it. And we get the return of aliens for this because Orga makes his debut in this.
Now I have heard of Orga and I've done a little bit of research and I really like the idea behind Orga.
Yeah, I love how the sense of the whole reason why the alien was there was after getting discovered by humans, they want to, I guess, absorb and like assimilate themselves with like, I guess, all culture and more specifically Godzilla. and I like the idea of how like Orga's trying to become Godzilla throughout the movie as it progresses. And one of my favorite Godzilla designs, I will say, another one of my personal favorites. I love the 2000 look.
I'm mixed on it. I think the mouth is too big. I think it goes too far back. But other than that, I really like how he's put together.
I like it because it's like very unique in a way. Like he's very like almost reptilian, kind of similar to like the 62 suit. It's a cool look, not one of my favorites, but like I do appreciate the overall like reptilian look that it had to it. And very like spiky, and I appreciate the color of the dorsal plates too, because like the dorsal plates were really pink and purplish.
Yeah.
And he had orange atomic breath, which was cool.
Yeah,
And
I didn't mind the pink and purple spikes. I thought those were really interesting, and they
yeah,
made a comeback.
definitely for sure. And if I'm not mistaken, I heard a theory of some sort. Um, you can let me know in the comment section below. But I heard something about like when Godzilla Junior became Godzilla and like Destroya, like a fully grown Godzilla, and like his legacy lived on. I heard that this was supposed to be, I don't know if it was 2000 or Final Wars, but like that Godzilla was essentially Junior.
I think it was Final Wars was Junior.
Okay, maybe, yeah, maybe it was that. If I'm not
But again, let us
mistaken.
know what you guys think.
Yes, please do in the comments. And as always, if you like the content that you're hearing, please subscribe to the channel for more content coming soon. Please, 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 no.
No, but do subscribe. You'll find lots of good content here.
Please? Yeah, so maybe it was Final Wars that I heard that it was supposed to be Junior. But if it was also 2000, like it would have made sense because like his father had like the reddish orange beam, and it would fit for him to
Yeah,
have like the orange beam as well.
yeah,
And it's a fun film overall. Also, my favorite kill, I will say, because again, like when Orga tries to eat him, essentially to in an attempt to assimilate him, Godzilla's like, "Nope, we're not having this." Just blows him up from the inside, which is my personal favorite kill. One of my other favorite kills is coming very soon, but I just love that he just blows him up, and then yeah. um, Next up, Godzilla vs. Megaguirus, another film that I think this film came out a year later because like this was, even though it's called Godzilla 2000, I think the Japanese
yeah,
version was like 1999, so this came out a year later. But they still used like the same Godzilla suit. I guess it'd be another C one for me because like it's an interesting premise. I kind of like how they incorporate events from like other films in a way because they do show like flashbacks of like events from like 1954, but they took it out and replaced it with like the Godzilla's 2000 suit. Like it's literally like the 2000 suit in like the black and white
yeah.
color scheme.
Got to maintain the continuity.
Continuity, yeah. And Megaguirus is an interesting kaiju, but I don't know. Probably one of the only Millennium films which is kind of like, eh. It's not terrible, but it's not memorable. Although there is a cool move that Godzilla does to Megaguirus, which is like a body slam. And right before that happens, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I've got one note just on Megaguirus as a creature, but go ahead.
Yeah, and right before he does it, he like jumps up and there's a shot. The camera pans in tightly on Megaguirus's face, and like he opens his eyes wide. He's like, "Oh," or she's like, "Oh shit!" And like, "Oh no!" Bam.
Yeah, my only thing about Megaguirus is that she looks like a dollar store Baragon to me. Not Baragon. What am I talking about? Batra. Good God, think I saw green for a minute there. I don't know what that was. Baragon is adorable. We love Baragon,
Yes, a very underrated kaiju for that matter.
especially when you see the behind the scenes of the actress in the suit when Baragon roars. Wow.
And yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, oh yeah, yeah, GMK, right? Oh yeah, this is easily an S for me.
Yes, I've seen clips, and even just from those, I would agree.
I think I need to show you this movie in full sometime because when I first saw this film, it was one of those instances where I looked at the movie and I was just like, okay, cool. And then I just moved on. But watching like reviews, watching different videos, watching like all these different like people talking about this movie, highly praising it, and I'm just like, huh, seems interesting. Why are they like praising it so much, basically? It didn't click with me right away, but then the gears started shifting. I'm like, okay, this is cool. This is fantastic because like I don't know. At first, I thought like, why is this the way it is? Thought the I was actually rooting for the Guardian monsters more so than Godzilla. I mean, I still do throughout the course of the film. And when I saw Godzilla for the first time, I thought he looked really weird. I'm not gonna lie.
Wasn't this one with the white eyes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the reason for it's pretty neat.
Oh yeah, for sure. And again, like once it started clicking, I'm like, okay, this is cool. Especially his origin, like how he's made up from all the souls of people who died during like the wars and like the Pacific. Souls basically absorb and then create basically Godzilla for the most part.
It's
And
really our first supernatural kind of take for Godzilla, isn't it?
yeah, very supernatural, very mythological in a way. I say
Yeah,
that because like the way that they portray the guardian monsters, they were like kind of like evil beings in the way, but then like the natives or like the people were able to bring them back to the good side, and they were able to basically change them to be good, and they protected them for many years. So like I think fun facts about this film, this was gonna have Godzilla fighting different crawling monsters rather than Ghidorah, Mothra, and Baragon. Like Baragon was one of the monsters that got introduced, but instead of Ghidorah and Mothra initially, the director wanted to have Baran and Anguirus as well make an appearance.
hmm.
Have him like the guardian monsters were all gonna be like crawling monsters, but again, Toho basically said to the director, was like, hey, you can keep Baragon, but instead of the other two, we're gonna have you put Mothra and Ghidorah in there because, like, basically just for more marketability, essentially.
Yeah.
Also, this film kind of takes a dig at the '98 film because they're having like a briefing in a military room, and then two guys are talking to each other and whispering. There's a part where they talk about how like there was a attack by Godzilla in New York by a different monster, and then the guy's like, Godzilla was the one who attacked New York, right? He's like, that's, and his partner is just basically like, that's what all the American experts claim, but our guys here have doubts, which was funny to see.
Yeah.
uh, but this film I highly recommend because like definitely a very unique, the most unique film for the Millennium series, especially with like its history, what they were able to do with it. Um, this is also by the same guy who did the trilogy of Gamera films throughout the Heisei series, which is definitely some of the best kaiju films out there as well.
Mm, I love Gamera.
Everybody loves our giant flying turtle.
And if you don't, get with the program.
Yes, indeed. No, I'm just kidding. We still love you, but we highly
Yeah,
recommend Gamera.
still watch the movies.
All right, next up, the Kiryu saga. Another instance where like there's sequel films that another instance where it's like, okay, sequel to 1954 while ignoring all the previous entries, but we also have this was the first time that there's sequels between each of the films themselves. It's like a self-contained sequel, if you will.
Yeah,
And for Godzilla against Mech Godzilla, I'm gonna put it in where did I have it? I personally, for me, Tokyo SOS, I prefer more so than this one, but it's still an A. Like, it's still a good film overall. Like, the soundtrack is really good. I really love how they do Godzilla's theme in this because throughout the course of the film history, you have like the iconic theme, but then like other composers will come in and create like a whole new theme for Godzilla as well. And that
yeah.
was really cool to see. My personal favorite Mechagodzilla comes from these two films. I love Kiryu so much.
He's my second favorite.
I think as of right now it's Kiryu, but it really jumps between Showa and Kiryu for me. Like those
Gotcha.
two are my personal favorites.
Mine has yet to appear.
Yes, yes.
More coming soon.
Yeah, great film overall. Great female protagonist as well. Like Akane is really good in this because she's dealing with like the whole guilt of like having the opportunity to take out Godzilla, but freezes and as a result costs the lives of like the teammates around him or her. And she's kind of dealing with that guilt and then kind of has like a redeeming arc towards the end. The fight is actually really good between the two. And another instance where it's like a one-on-one battle with no monsters interfering, and Kiryu just like for a lot of the time, Kiryu wipes the floor with this with Godzilla a little bit. He's like, I'm gonna use you as a cleaning rag.
I will say I do like the idea of Kiryu quite a lot. The fact that they built it around the bones of the original Godzilla.
Oh yeah, totally, totally wasn't gonna be any negative effects to that, right? Yeah, totally
No,
not.
he's definitely not going to get possessed by 54 Goji. That'd be crazy.
A
Oh, wait a
few
minute.
a few moments later, ah, darn, we should have thought about.
That's the humans in most of those movies. Oh, darn. We should have thought about this.
Yeah, for the most part, really good film. I'll put it in A, but I would say Tokyo SOS is one I kind of prefer more so. I guess a lot of it just has to do with like one, we get Mothra back in this, which was kind of cool, and I love the idea of them being like, hey, you know, building Kiryu is a bad idea. You need to put the bones to rest. Mothra will protect you, and I kind of like the going back to arcs, the way that they like have Kiryu basically not kill him, but like put him to rest essentially towards the end of the movie. And it's just a beautiful film overall. Even though the absolute zero cannon is like definitely more lethal, I still love the triple mazer thing, like because like his weapons change throughout the course of the movie as
Yeah.
well. Definitely a very action packed film, if you will. Speaking of action packed, Final Wars. Oh my goodness. I'll keep it here for right now in A. This
Gotta be A.
was
He kicked the crap out of Zilla.
yes. Instant A. Again, another dig at or TriStar for that is like eat your heart out 98. But yes, Godzilla Final Wars, another film that gets a lot of mixed reviews. A lot of people love it, a lot of people hate it. I don't I haven't really heard much about people being like in between, but it's mostly like people either love this movie or hate it. I personally really love this movie. It's literally at the time Showa brought to life with all the monsters. It's a recreation of essentially Destroy All Monsters in a different fashion. You have all of, or at least most of, like the previous kaiju that make a return in this movie that Godzilla's fought throughout the past. So like, and especially kaiju that we haven't seen in a while. So like Anger's, King Caesar, Gigan, Rodan, Mothra, um, Zilla of all people, as we just mentioned. There's Kamanga, Kamacuras, Ebra, Hedora, and even some new monsters as well with Monster X.
I don't know how I feel about Monster X. I'll be honest. I think he's too humanoid. I dig the like the split skull on the shoulders with the one in the middle for the head, but like I think if he was a little more monstrous, being that he's called Monster X.
Yeah, it'd be cool to see him with like more like muscular features, but then again, I guess it'd be kind of hard for like the suit actor to move around
Yeah.
in the suit because the way that these monsters fight each other at the course of the movie, this is the best way I could describe this. It's literally the perfect representation of like anime to live action
Yeah.
because one of the things that I love about like what they do with the human characters, especially in this movie, like you have like they're mutants, but like they're still doing stuff throughout the course of the movie. Like they're fighting giant monsters, even when Godzilla's not on screen. Because for the most part, you'll see them like sitting in board meetings or like strategizing. But with this, they're actually like fighting each other. They're fighting other monsters, fighting other aliens, which is kind of cool. It kind of helps to keep the flow going and the entertainment value going as well, if you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I kind of like that dig that they do to Zil. My boy Zil, poor Zil.
Poor Zilla nothing, he deserved it.
What did you think of Kaiser Ghidorah? Like when he transforms like halfway through.
I think the four-legged Ghidorah is a really interesting idea. I'll be honest. I don't hate it. I really quite like it.
I didn't even know he was four legged at first, to be honest with you, because like eventually I saw it later on, but like right away, like especially when he's rearing his legs up, I thought he was like jumping up really awkwardly. I'm like, why is he jumping awkwardly that way? But no, the four legs help to explain it, and I like the look of Kaiser. Not one of my favorites, but
No.
it's still a cool look. I mean, obviously outside of standard Ghidorah, I would definitely say Mecha King Ghidorah is one of my other personal favorite looks because it's literally just cyborg Ghidorah. Like, how could you go wrong with that? But Kaiser's still
Um,
good.
yeah.
And he was massive too. Like Godzilla was about what 100 meters in that. I think Kaiser was about destroyer size, like 120.
Yeah.
Also, one of my favorite Godzilla designs as well. I will say the Final
Great
Wars
too.
look is an awesome look, and he's very strong too and durable. He just goes through kaiju's like it's nothing.
He's like, get out the way.
But yeah, no, for the time of it being its 50th anniversary, definitely a banger and a way to go out.
Yeah.
Now, after the events of Final Wars, Toad decided to give it a break and let America come in for a second run with 2014, which again, another film that gets a lot of love, a lot of hate. Like at the time, I remember this film getting so much talk about this film, regardless whether it was positive, negative. Like this film was talked about a lot.
I remember all the hype.
Yeah, me too. And the marketing was sick for this film,
Yes, it was.
especially that first teaser with the Halo jump. Literally
Yeah.
feels like they're jumping into hell.
Yeah. I have so much to say about the legendary films. Well, all the modern films, really.
hmm And in terms of 2014 to start, I don't mind it, honestly. I would put it in B. It's still a solid film because like I really love the overall like world building that they do throughout the course of this film. I know people complained a lot about like Godzilla's overall look, but I thought he looked pretty cool overall. I think a lot of it just had to do with like, oh, I don't like the feet. And it's like, really? You're
You're
gonna
paying
complain?
attention to a kaiju's toes instead of the movie. Good job. Good for you. You know, I think B is fair, just because they had a lot of. It's like you said, they had a lot of world building. They had to do a lot of setup, and it pays off in the later films. So this one was really just kind of an introduction to this version, which is fine. The Mutos, I love the Mutos. Those things are awesome. You
They
get
are
the
cool.
yeah, the male who's smaller but he can fly, and then you get the female who's an absolute unit. The sound design for those was so good, in fact, that Subnautica, the video game, straight up used the sounds for the Mutos for the crab squid, like they're
Mm.
1-to-1.
Oh, that's
And
sick.
yeah, while we're on sound design, we have got to address Godzilla's atomic breath. The first time
Oh,
he charges it up, and you see the blue coming through the smoke, and you get that. I was like, what?
one thing that I will definitely say about this movie that I really liked is that Gareth Edwards really knew how to frame this movie very nicely
Yes.
because like you get that nice sense of scale with how massive Godzilla is supposed to be. And even though that they changed the Halo jump a little bit from like the teaser and in the movie, but still it works out good. Still get that sheer size of Godzilla. I really love the roar. The roar is very unique.
Yeah, the new Roar was absolutely incredible. I got to see this movie in the theater, and
Same
when
here.
he finally took that breath and let out that roar, the whole theater shook.
And speaking of kills, this is where my one of my other favorite kills comes into play.
It is my all-time favorite, the kiss of death.
Yes, because like you initially building up to that scene, you kind of don't really know what's going to happen. I mean, you kind of get an idea of what's going to happen because like again, you hear like the charging, you hear like you hear the charging effect, you hear like the spines lighting up, but then he just lets loose inside of like the Muto's mouth and like all the organs are just melting and then like the head decapitates. I think when that scene happened, I remember vaguely like people in my theater just going, "Oh!"
Yeah. Well, it's because like there was a whole like physical struggle from it. By the time he finally got a hold of her jaws, he pulls them open and just you can see the blue glow through her skin, and then you can see the little holes getting burned through her neck, and then her body just falls off. I was like, oh, look at that.
And yes, that iconic victory roar at the end.
Yes,
He
good
took a nap.
human characters too,
Yeah.
and a really good soundtrack.
Oh, for sure, definitely. How'd you feel about the son in the movie? I think Ford, because like Bryan Cranston was like the show stealer, of course. I mean, he anything that he plays in for the most part usually is a show stealer. But then once he gets killed off, like 20 minutes in, we like switch over to Ford, and I know a lot of one of the big things was Ford was very mixed, at least from what I heard, in terms
I
of like
liked him. It's a shame he never came back, but no, I liked him.
yeah, I mean, it wasn't terrible. I mean,
No,
it'd been interesting to see like Bryan Cranston not die right away. I mean, even if he like they had him scheduled to like get killed, maybe like sometime later on in the film.
right.
I mean, it still worked out for what we had, and I like Sarazawa in this.
Yeah, I was just about to say the fact that Ken Watanabe was Sarazawa was an amazing casting choice, and he nailed it.
Oh, for sure. Especially like what he does in the next film, that whole like symbology that I will definitely get into a little bit
Yeah,
between like this Sarazawa and the one from 54.
yeah, because they were polar opposites.
Hmm. Yeah, overall, solid first entry for a film that gets a lot of like mixed reviews. I don't think you can deny the fact that like Godzilla, this particular film, really helped to put the king back on the mat in like the movie industry.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, not a bad film, especially for the start of the iconic MonsterVerse.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, Toho is making a comeback. Made a comeback in 2016. They're like,
Ooh,
hey,
boy.
they're like, hey, we saw the success of 2014. We gotta bring our boy back.
Yeah. And
And all right, so for me, it's definitely very high for sure. I just don't
I
know
would
where
put
to
it in S.
put it. I think for right now, I'm gonna put it in A, but it's definitely right at the top above all these other films.
I will make my case.
And but yes, Shin Godzilla is what we were talking about next because again, after the success of 2014, Toho pretty much looked at it like, hey, let's bring our boy back, our version of the iconic character back, and take it away, my friend. You have the floor.
All
It's
right.
all yours.
Uh, so I'll just start off by saying I'm aware I'm biased. This is absolutely without a shadow of a doubt my favorite Godzilla movie. Um, the soundtrack is the original soundtrack with some new additions, and wow, is this soundtrack incredible. All right, we get tracks like Who Will Know, which plays at an incredible point in the movie. Persecution of the Masses, another banger. Um, but yeah, you get a fantastic soundtrack, incredible creature design. Like we referenced earlier, they did pretty much recycle Destroya's story for Godzilla in this film. He was, he started off as kind of a small sea creature, and this is a different thing too. Is instead of it being the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, it is the Fukushima nuclear disaster that they're addressing in this film. So it's another environmental piece. The idea that this creature comes out of the water and you can see it's struggling to move. It's trying to get from place to place, and it's very wobbly. It's bleeding out of its gills. It's got these big buggy eyes that are kind of clouded over.
So I will get to it
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
minute, but I have a funny thing about the second form when I first saw it. But anyways, continue.
No, go ahead. Go. This I gotta hear.
Okay, so distributing for this film, I will say, was kind of weird because obviously, of course, like it came out July 29th in Japan, which obviously understandable. It comes out there first and then eventually makes its way over here. But it had a limited run in October of that year for like I think it was like a week or something. But unfortunately, even with it having only a week in here in America in October, I still couldn't see it because like it wasn't playing at any of my local theaters, and it kind of sucked. I was bummed out about it. So I basically in December remember I remember watching this on like a third party website, but I got the full movie. That's all that matters. And my brother and I are watching this film, and like once Persecution of the Masses starts playing, I didn't realize that like Godzilla was gonna evolve throughout the course of the movie. Because like obviously with the trailers it just shows him. Like so you're like, okay, so it's gonna be like a solo film, which is fine. And then once they like when the film I finally got a chance to watch the film with my brother, Persecution of the Masses starts playing, everybody's running, like people are panicking, and then it cuts to Kamada Kun, and my brother just goes, "What the?"
He was really goofy looking when he first steps out of the water. But one of the things I really love about this film is that there's no main character. It's Japan kind of
Mm-hmm.
coming together as as one to try and deal with this creature. And I love that it's a story of unity. So it's really cool to see that. And of course, when Godzilla starts to evolve again, phenomenal visuals. You see his arms tear themselves free from his chest, and he's this bright like red. He looks like he's completely infected. And they reuse some of the classic roars as well, which is really cool. Um, but it's during the fourth night that we really get to see what Godzilla is capable of in this film, because he gets a new atomic breath, and this blew me away. He starts off with the smoke, and it's filling all of the streets around him, and then he lights it on fire and destroys a bunch of buildings, just tears up Japan in one breath, and then he focuses it into a purple beam, which again reuses Destroya's beam sound. And this thing just reaches way far out. We see him shooting lasers from his back, from the end of his tail. And by the end of the film, we see what his next stage was going to be. And that is that he has these little humanoids growing out of his tail. So he was going to turn into a legion. And I was reading an interview with the writer, and they also stated this in one of the books they put out about the production of the film, that if allowed to continue to evolve, he would eventually become his own like self-powered universe, which is crazy to think about.
Oh, for sure. I remember one point in the film too. They talk about how he could potentially grow wings
Yeah,
as well and start flying. Could you imagine him just flying all over the place,
that would
shooting
be
purple
awesome.
beams and lasers?
He does a barrel roll over a city and just destroys the entire city.
But because his like tail is so massive, like while he's trying to like jump up doing a barrel roll, his like tail is like whacking into taller buildings. Like it keeps getting caught on buildings here and there. Oh
Just taking down buildings with his tail like a mace while he's flying through.
yeah.
But yeah, in my opinion, the best Godzilla movie.
Oh, for sure. And I definitely love this film. Like some of the points that you brought up, the overall concept of like how Godzilla is portrayed in this is really cool. Godzilla himself looks really cool because when I first looked at this design and hearing rumors about it, I heard something along the lines of like the red that you see is him with like exposed skin. And then the reason why he has like the tiny arms is that like he's not fully evolved yet. And by the time you get to the end of the film, he'll be like a fully grown, like normal Godzilla that we know. But they ended up taking a different route with this, which was kind of cool to see. And they still kept like the tiny arms, like the red was really cool. I definitely like the look for sure.
Something I gotta point out is when he's doing his big atomic breath attack, the lyrics of Who Will Know are from Godzilla's perspective. He's in agony for this entire movie. He doesn't roar, he screams. Like
Oh,
every
for
action
sure.
he takes is agony for him, which is really interesting.
Definitely one of the coolest atomic breaths, I will say.
Yeah.
And especially like you described it perfectly, the way it starts to the way it like ignites and just engulfs like the city in flames, and then it just focuses that into a beam. Oh, so good. So good.
All right. I think that wraps up Shin Godzilla.
Yeah. And of course, now we're at that point, aren't we?
I believe we are.
The anime films.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Hey, funny guy! I got a joke for you! What smells rotten and puts people to sleep?
Noxious gas?
No! Your act!
Yeah. Something I like even less than Godzilla 98.
Which is the only reason why this film's in C now, and even like a film like Godzilla's Revenge. or even some of the more least memorable films, because I I absolutely despise this trilogy. I
Yeah, I'd
hate
be
this
putting it lower.
trilogy. It's in F right now, but if there
Yeah.
was a tier lower than that, I will
Yeah,
gladly put it in there.
exactly. I'd still put it lower. How you gonna make Godzilla a tree?
Bec- well, it's like the thing is, it's like the way I didn't really hear much about this when it was like first coming out. You know, I was like, okay, I'll I'll give it a look. It seems like interesting the way that they're doing it. The way it's like animated, so we haven't gotten like animated related Godzilla titles in a bit. So I was like, okay, cool. And then watching these films is just like, ah, disappointing after disappointing after disappointing.
Yeah.
If I start talking about the second movie, I'm probably gonna be here for all night, and this is gonna be a very very long video of why I hate this. But
Yeah.
I won't do that. What I will say though is for how much I despise this trilogy, the only aspect that I appreciate is that how the first movie ends with, because like you find out that there's two Godzilla movies at one point. I forgot when because I kind of blocked this out of my head. I'm gonna be honest, but you find out that there's two Godzillas. There's like a smaller one, and then there's the big one, and then the big one just wipes out like all the human characters that were shown throughout the course of the movie, and that's that. It should have just
Good.
ended with that, but no.
Yes.
So yeah, no, not really much to say about this. Anime trilogy is god awful.
Yeah, they completely fumbled.
Absolutely god awful.
Hey,
But
that means we can move on to something better.
yes, yes, indeed. All right, cool. Moving on. Like and subscribe. No.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So King of the Monsters. I'm gonna here. I think A would be a good spot for me. I'll I'll put it over slightly over Mechagodzilla 2, but not Final Wars. And the way that this film was marketed and hyped up, you want to talk about hype for the first film? I
Oh
think
yeah.
the sequel took the hype to a few different notches
Yeah.
because of what they're hyping up and the fact that we were able to get not only another Godzilla film from this series and Legendary, but they introduced Mothra, Rodan, and King Ghidorah in this.
And they were all so good.
Oh my god. I remember the first trailer like it was yesterday because at one of my older jobs, I used to work in like a trampoline park. It was right around the time of like San Diego Comic-Con, I think, and they just revealed the first teaser for this movie. I couldn't watch it fully, like get like the full experience because obviously I was at work, I had to watch it low, and I didn't really have like a lot of time, but as soon as I got home, I rushed up to my room, watched this trailer in full, and I was just left in awe. It was so beautiful, and I was so excited for this movie.
One
And
thing that I think really elevated this movie was Bear McCreary doing the soundtrack.
oh yeah, that was a nice surprise because like you didn't know being able to hear Godzilla's theme and that, but also Mothra's theme
I
as
cried.
well. Oh yeah.
I teared up. And that doesn't happen to me at movies. But I'm sitting there watching Mothra hatch, right? And the music's kicking up. She spreads her wings under the waterfall. She does the classic Mothra screech. I was like, oh, it's perfect.
Oh yes. Oh
Could have
my
done
god.
without some of the human drama though.
Yeah, I think they were kind of like interesting overall. I know this film kind of got some like nitpicks with like kind of moving away from the fights a little bit and like focusing on the humans during the fights, but the way that they presented kind of worked and I liked it still.
Yeah, I like the human characters. It's just I do feel like every now and then they pulled away from what people went to the theater to see. But other than that, I really like the human characters. Ghidorah was a standout part of the film.
Easily my second favorite design. Easily.
I think it might be my favorite.
It's definitely very up there. I don't know. I just similar to Mechagodzilla, the two designs that jump back and forth for me, Ghidorah, are the Heisei one from like '91,
Yeah,
and then just normal Showa King Ghidorah. I don't know. I have appreciation just for those two, but like legendary Ghidorah is definitely up there.
he's legendary.
Yes, indeed. One of my favorite Rodan designs as well, and scenes.
Yeah, although I wish he had more to do.
Yeah,
It was definitely a wasted thing for Rodan because he again, like you said, phenomenal design, really good theme too.
yeah, and a really good scene as well.
Yeah, with the whole fighter jet chase, I thought was really awesome.
The director even said like that's one of his favorites when like watching the Godzilla series.
Yeah, Rodan's great. He's underappreciated to be sure.
Hopefully, he has something in um Supernova
Supernova.
coming up. Yeah, Supernova coming up, but who knows? And then again, of course, like Mothra is fantastic, a very unique design.
Yeah, they finally gave her some offensive weaponry. She's got the mantis claws. She's got a stinger.
Yeah, she doesn't have any beams or anything, but like she's able to like bring Godzilla back. She like has like the stinger. I love
And
when.
boy, does she. Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Thermonuclear Godzilla. Peak cinema.
One thing that I will kind of say, and this is more so about marketing, I kind of wish they didn't show like too much.
Yeah.
Like the marketing, they kind of revealed a bit way too much, and it's not just like with that film. I know like films in the past have had like a bad history with marketing, depending on I guess like what it is. You gotta like time it good to where like you're showing not too much, but like just enough to get like viewers interested.
Yeah.
But it was still a fantastic badass moment, especially like with that whole burning Godzilla. I mean, obviously the way that they portrayed in this, he's not burning, but like because
He's
it's more
super
so like a
charged.
supercharged fire nuclear, but burning just sounds so much cooler.
Well, I mean, you see him walk past a building and the building melts.
Yes, that too. That
And
was
then the way he took out Ghidorah. Oh.
that was one of my favorite things too. Like when you see him as like the buildings are melting, just everything's melting around him, and he lets out that roar.
And
Um,
you see Mothra in the pulse.
yeah, and you hear like the Mothra roar in the pulse, and Ghidorah's trying to shoot him with the gravity beams. They're just bouncing off him like it's nothing.
His wings get evaporated. Two of his heads get evaporated.
He gets his chest cave in.
Phenomenal entry for the Godzilla movies in general, but especially for the Legendary series.
I
Wonderful sequel.
I also love how it ends too. They're literally fitting that title, King of the Monsters, in there,
Yeah, he
especially when
becomes the
like
Apex.
the other Titans. Which, by the way, there's other Titans in this, and they saying like how there's like 17, even though there you only really see like a few.
Yeah, we get Behemoth, Methuselah, Scylla. We get they had a name for her. It was the Muto, but she was like spiky.
Muto Prime, I believe.
No, Muto Prime was very different.
Oh, wasn't? Oh, sorry. I thought it was that. My bad. I guess not.
She had a human name that people started calling her.
And a fun fact that I will talk about with Zilla, or I almost said Zilla. Scylla, not Zilla. I will get to in a minute, but um, yeah, when everybody starts bowing, Rodan just kind of like, no, we must defend our fallen leader, and then Godzilla just kind of like does like
Snarl.
that snarls. You see like the smoke coming out of his nostrils. It's just like Nope, I'm bowing to you. I meant we
Yeah,
must
I
defend
read.
our new leader.
Yeah, well, that was the equivalent to Godzilla pulling a gun on him. Yeah, you got something to say? No. All hail the king.
We must defend our leader. Oh yeah? Yes,
Are you sure
you.
about that?
You. We must defend you, not that guy. No. Who's that guy?
Good answer. Good answer. I like the way you think. I'll be watching you. Yeah.
And then he lets out that roar. It almost looks like he's standing on like a ledge of
Yeah,
some
and they
sort.
changed his dorsal spines.
Yeah, so there's the 54 spines, which was awesome.
Yeah, there's a reason for that too, which I really like.
That's essentially his crown, if I'm not mistaken.
He got into a battle with Muto Prime, who let out a supersonic shriek, and it shattered his dorsal spines. And
Oh, yeah.
so he had this blue cloud of just pure energy leaking out of him. And over time, they grew back and they cooled off, and so they kind of it looks like almost cooled magma when you look at the texture of them. And then, of course, yes, they did have him in the shape of the 54 spines, and they also like shortened his tail and rounded it off a little bit, which I
Yeah.
like.
So for those of you who are wondering what that's from, Aiden is talking about the prequel comics that took place in between like each of the films. And I
Yes,
believe that was from I think either Awakening or Aftershock.
I
One of
think it was
those two.
Aftershock.
Yeah, it might have been Aftershock, but I love those prequel comics so much.
Yes.
It helped to expand the lore too.
Speaking of expanding the lore, what do we have next?
Well, my friend, we have the rematch of the century. And what a good time for it to come out when it did, because it was during a very, very bad time of shutdowns and it was not good.
Yeah, but man, did it make it bearable. What a great movie this was.
Oh, for sure. And it's definitely going an A for me. Because,
Absolutely.
no, actually, no, not A. It's S. It's an
I
S
can live
tier.
with that. I can
It's
live with that.
it's S tier. And it's currently my favorite MonsterVerse movie that we have right now. A lot of the reasons why I love this movie is because like I tried my best not to avoid marketing. Like I didn't watch any trailers, I didn't watch any TV spots or anything like that initially. But then like when I got around to finally watching it, there was a lot of aspects of this movie that really harken back to like some of the older films. I think one of them being like a shorter runtime because like for the most part the first two films were like almost 2.5 or 2 hours, something like that.
Yeah.
But this one was much shorter. You have like aspects from the original King Kong vs. Godzilla, which like they're fighting on sea, fighting on land. Uh, Kong is even getting transported the same way they did by sea and by air, which was an aspect that was taken from, or well, not taken, but like used from that, which was really cool. Oh, and that fight. Oh, that fight. Oh, that fight in Hong Kong. Oh, it's so good.
I was just glad to see that Godzilla was winning every fight because, it's like, oh, I am Godzilla. I am literally a walking nuclear fusion reactor. How can you possibly hope to stop me? Monkey.
Monkey.
Yeah. But now they're turning Kong into Kratos, which I think is hysterical.
It is definitely hysterical. Um, I think I loved seeing like the hype around it because it's one of like those like matches of the century that you would see on like what was it, like wrestling or boxing. People are like, no, this
Pay-per-view.
is gonna win. This person's gonna win. No, this person's gonna win. Blah blah blah. And but yeah, no, I love that fight in Hong Kong. I remember like before this movie came out, people would put out like fan animations of like Godzilla fighting Kong, and it would show them like fighting as like you would expect animals would. Godzilla's using like his claws, he's biting at Kong, he's using his tail. Kong's just like pounding Godzilla. and they incorporated those aspects really nicely with that
Yeah.
film.
There's a moment in Hong Kong where he's chasing after him like a crocodile, where Godzilla's chasing after Kong, and he's crawling on all fours. It was terrifying.
Oh yeah.
He pins him down and just starts scratching at his chest. Oh man.
I think there was a part two where like he takes the axe, stabs it into Godzilla's leg, and like
Yeah.
when Godzilla's stepping on Kong, he kind of like Kong kind of like whacks
Punches the
at like the
wound.
injured. Yeah. But yeah, no, like after he like steps on his foot for the second time, you kind of see him like twisting his foot. He's like twisting his foot,
He's
and
trying to.
or like he's twisting his chest with his foot, and you can hear like the crunching.
Yeah.
Oh, and then like when Godzilla roars in his face, and then Kong roars back. Oh, that was such a cool shot of them like roaring at each other.
The fact that he laughed at one point scared me. You know, Godzilla, he kind of chuckles and I was like, oh my god, that's terrifying.
Yeah. uh, but then like after they do the roar, Godzilla kind of like nods his head. He's just like, okay, I'm gonna go.
You've had enough. Catch your breath. We're not through yet. And of course, you know, at one point, Godzilla ends up on the verge of death because they launch the oxygen destroyer. Serizawa nukes himself in order to bring Godzilla back. It's a really sweet moment. He finally gets to touch Godzilla. He touches his nose and he says, "Goodbye, my old friend," and blows up the entire village that was in that underwater cave. And a little detail, there's an Anguirus skeleton in there,
Yes, indeed.
which I absolutely adore that little detail. And it's a blink and you'll miss it moment, but it's there.
And
Um,
almost forgot about that. Thank you for bringing it up. The overall symbology of like King of the Monsters with the 54, because like they portray Serizawa in the original one to help destroy Godzilla, to like try to destroy him from like causing any more havoc and destruction. With this one, they're using it to try to save him because
yeah,
the nice little symbology right there.
but of course, with the use of the oxygen destroyer, that opens one very big, very angry, very red door.
They need to do that. They
We
need to
need a
have.
monster destroyer.
If they don't do it, I will be. I'm not gonna do anything. I'll just write a very, very sad letter.
Now, of course, in this movie, there is something that really made this film, at least for me, and that was the introduction of our live action MonsterVerse Mecha Godzilla.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah. So Ghidorah and Mothra and Rodan were enough already. Like just having them was a godsend. But they were like, no, we have more rights. Let's bring in Mechagodzilla of all people. And it's just like, what? How did they do that?
We get this whole subplot about Apex, and they used they used two of Ghidorah's skulls. They used one of them inside Mechagodzilla, and the other one at at this Apex facility to link it to Mechagodzilla. But we find out that it's being controlled by the consciousness of Ghidorah, and Mechagodzilla in this film is an absolute menace.
Yes, he
By
definitely
the
is.
time by the time he gets to fighting Godzilla, Godzilla's already drained of energy. He used up all his energy fighting Kong, and so there's a moment where he grabs Godzilla around the back of the neck and just starts smashing his face from building to building to building. And he even
Yeah.
attempts to do the kiss of death on Godzilla.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Godzilla gets like one good shot at. I mean, obviously, like I love that look that he has when like Mechagodzilla is breaking out of the facility. It kind of just zooms in to like breathing heavily. I don't know if he was like angry, confused, but it was just so funny. It's like, what is going on? And then
He
when
was like, "You're an imposter."
yes, exactly, imposter. I kind of like that sound design for Mechagodzilla, not just the roar, but especially when he kind of like does like
Dun,
that
dun,
silly look. Yeah, that silly look to the camera, and you hear Turn, turn, turn.
I loved his claws too. They rotate real fast. He gets the energy ball around his fist. That was awesome. He's got the thrusters in his back to fuel his punches even further. He's got obviously the proton scream, which was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
You got kind of the reference to Mechagodzilla's hands from the Showa era in his tail. That spins up and turns into a drill, which I think Kiryu also had a drill hand.
Yeah, he so like at the end of against Mechagodzilla, they use the absolute zero cannon on him while like at a close range proximity. It kind of damaged Kiryu a little bit because like the cannon was destroyed and he was like missing an arm by the end of it. But like it scarred Godzilla pretty badly. And then like when
Yeah, the big scar on his chest.
Tokyo SOS rolls around and then they like upgrade him a little bit, and that's where the drill comes in.
Yeah. So I love that they included that, and then the fact that we get to see Godzilla and Kong working together. Kong has the axe made from Godzilla species parts, and he blasts the axe with atomic breath, and then it just cleaves through Mechagodzilla like a hot knife through butter. He rips his head off like the Predator. And they kind of go their separate ways. They're like, all right, I'm going home.
Yeah, and yeah, I love how aware Godzilla was of using because like he saw how powerful the axe was against him, considering that like the blade was made out of like a dorsal plate. So
Yeah,
it's just like it was pretty much a situation of like, hey, what do we do? He's like, hey, go long, pretty much, and then shoots the beam into the axe.
yeah. And an important detail though is had there been no human intervention in this fight, Godzilla would have killed Kong. He would have died from his injuries.
And also, he would have killed Godzilla as well. Mecha Godzilla would have killed Godzilla.
Yeah, he would have done the kiss of death on him, and that would have been the end of Godzilla and Kong. Um, I really, really liked this movie. Really good human characters. Decent score, not nearly as good as King of the Monsters, because they didn't bring Bear McCreary back for that. But still, what a movie! It was a modern day Showa era movie.
Oh yeah, for sure. I do appreciate the composer though because it's I think it's the Junkie XL person, Tom Holkenberg, and he's done some
Yeah,
other soundtracks which were pretty good, so it wasn't too terrible.
I liked Mechagodzilla's theme. It was a kind of a twist on Godzilla's classic theme. It was that dun 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 dun. I was like, okay, I see where they're going with that.
Hmm.
Um, oh, we forgot the most important Titan in this movie, Titanus Doug.
Oh yes, the best boy.
The fact that the studio saw that name on the internet and then canonized it is my favorite thing.
Oh yes, for sure. But yeah, no, I think as it stands right now, this is still my personal favorite, just because of like the fights are really good, marketing was really good, especially considering the fact that this was the rematch of the century, like
Yeah,
50 or 59 plus years later, something like that. It's been a long time since these two had a bout, and it was long overdue.
yeah.
Alrighty. So this is the only other Godzilla show that we have currently, which was Godzilla Singular Point. I'm not sure if you've seen this yet or
I
not.
have. I
Oh,
really, really enjoyed it.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
I kind of liked it too. I'm gonna put it in B for right now, and
yeah,
I'll explain why in B because kind of similar to how I felt about like how people feel about like America's second attempt at a Godzilla movie. This was the second attempt at like doing like an animation for Godzilla, which overall I definitely like more than the trilogy. I will definitely say like
yes.
animation's beautiful. I love how they blend 2D and 3D very nicely. A lot of the designs are really cool. I think my personal favorite is Anguirus. I love Anguirus.
Yeah, I thought they nailed it with Anguirus. And initially with Rodan, I was like, that's just a Pteranodon. But then we see the one with the two horns, and I went, okay, all right, you got me.
Yeah, I kind of like that how he was like it was like a swarm of them, basically.
Yeah,
It's cool. I loved how Jet Jaguar played a critical role in this of all monsters, which was I'm not complaining. I highly appreciate it. It was just funny to see Jet Jaguar have like a
I was so happy to see him back.
and his design was cool too. It kind of reminded me of like I know people compared it to like old school robots, which I could definitely see that.
Yeah, I liked how wonky he was, like in his proportions and like his weird hands and stuff. But he had the classic Jet Jaguar head. Um, and I was absolutely just so happy to see Jet Jaguar not only back in action, but at the forefront.
Hmm.
And the whole story I really liked. Especially with the ending showing they're building Mechagodzilla.
Yeah, I don't remember if they said there was like a season two coming or not, but if there is, I know Mechagodzilla could play a definitely big role in that.
How cool would it be to see a fight between Jet Jaguar and Mechagodzilla?
That would be sick. That would be pretty sick. And so yeah, the only reason why it's in B, I'm not gonna rank it lower. Like it's not bad, but the only thing that's really holding it down for me is like, especially if you're not even just that too. Basically, just the way that they explain science in the movie, you're you'll kind of be left with like a huh what kind of
Yeah,
reaction. But this is one of those shows for sure. You might have to watch it multiple times to maybe see if it helps or not. But
it does.
yeah, the way that they explain science essentially was kind of like just like, wait, what? Huh? Is it? Wait, are we going here? Wait, now we're going here. What's going on?
Yeah.
What's going on? Exactly.
Yeah, it was a decent show.
Yeah, not bad. I liked it. Ah, yes. We've come down to the final two, at least for right now. We have Toho making another return, and similar to how much you adore Shin Godzilla, I feel the exact same way about Godzilla minus one, which is easily an S for me.
Double S. Shin Godzilla is my favorite, but objectively speaking, minus one is the best Godzilla movie.
This is, yes, by far one of, if not the best, not only Godzilla movies, but one of the best movies of the entire, like, century, millennial universe, whatever you want to say. Just for the
Absolutely.
simple fact of what they were able to achieve with this movie. Oh my god, for starters, this was one of the first instances where you like for the most part like human characters could be like very hit and miss throughout the course of the series, but this film is one of the first instances where you actually like they give them depth. They give character depth to them, which was awesome to see because like the main character Shikishima is dealing with this whole like thing of like being a kamikaze pilot and how they're basically their role is throughout the world, how he sees it, the way that they portray that, and then like dealing with like the guilt of like not fulfilling his duty, and how that pretty much costs him. You have like, especially not just for him, but like the people around him, and
Yeah.
then Godzilla himself. You thought like GMK was a bad threat. You thought Shin Godzilla was a menace. Oh my god. When they first introduced Godzilla as like the Godzilla source, which I appreciated, he just shows up out of nowhere, dude. He just shows up
Yeah.
out of nowhere from the bush, takes out all the people on the island. He was just oof.
Genuinely startled me. I was very impressed. Unfortunately, I am gonna have to run. Yeah, man, it's been an absolute pleasure. Can't wait to do more of these with you.
Yeah, no problem. And I will definitely I'll continue it from here from the most part.
Excellent, man. Alrighty. You know, happy Godzilla Day, because that should be hopefully when this releases. So happy Godzilla Day to everybody. And again, James, thank you for having me.
Oh, for sure, definitely. And we're definitely gonna have you back on for sure.
Excellent, man. Awesome. Alrighty. Make sure to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more epic videos.
Godzilla Minus One is fantastic with the whole idea of like Shikishima and how they portray humans throughout the course post World War II. Godzilla was an absolute menace. All that breath. Can we talk about that atomic breath for a second? Oh, literally one of, if not the coolest atomic breaths in the series if you want to talk about the cool factor, because like kind of similar to how we're going into detail about Shin Godzilla's atomic breath and like Godzilla overall just being like a walking nuke from like Godzilla vs. Destroy. He literally fires atomic breaths like they're actually nukes, which is insane. Insane to think. And the fact he was able to recharge pretty quickly was oh, but yeah, no. With a small budget of over $15 million, it was such an awesome thing to see what they were able to achieve. And the fact that this won an Oscar, which was, oh my god, that was like the highlight of the night, easily. So yeah, Godzilla Minus one of my personal favorite movies throughout the Godzilla series. And with that, to conclude everything off, we have Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire, which is definitely going to not be in an honorable mention, but I will definitely, at least for right now, I'm definitely gonna put it in A. I will put it right here over King of the Monsters, but not over Final Wars. Literally is the best representation of a modern Showa film in today's society, because oh my goodness, you have, it expands more on the monsterverse lore. You get to see Kong being developed more as like a character. Godzilla's awesome in this too. The villains that they fight are sick, and it's awesome, man. It's so sick. It's so sick. Not to mention the fact that like the Titans in this movie that get introduced, and you get to see more of Hollow Earth. And similar to how Aiden was talking about how Kong, similar to Kratos, has like adopts a kid, similar to Godzilla in a way, and they have like relationships throughout the course of the movie. Oh, it's so awesome. So that for right now pretty much wraps up my review and video for all of the Godzilla movies and shows that have been ranked throughout the course of his 71 years of destruction. I hope you enjoyed this video a lot. I had a lot of fun making it. Please stay tuned for more content coming very, very soon, especially for stuff for Godzilla Day. I hope to have more out soon, but if not, I will definitely have this out sometime in the near future, hopefully by November 3rd on Godzilla's birthday. Don't forget, as always, if you like the content that you're hearing, please make sure to comment down below, give me a like, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more stuff like this. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Take care and happy birthday to the King of the Monsters himself. Long live the King, baby.